Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I'm Brian Craig. We're going to be live here.
That's
Here we go.
954-597-7060. And you can also find us online at thesoulauthority.com. That's THESOLE authority.com. Call the Soul Authority today and start taking care of your feet.
If you're new here, this is the most pro-Donald Trump radio show anywhere. If you love Trump, you'll love the show. If you don't love Trump, you will. Just give it time. Just keep listening, subscribe. You'll love Trump too, I promise.
And find out what benefits are available to you with offices in Boca Raton and
Welcome, welcome. I'm not sure what topic to start with today.
855 FLA 37821.
Oops. Just a second too early.
3782.
There we go.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show.
Hey, Neil.
The Steve K Show.
Hey, Jeff.
Call the show toll 1. That's 1.
Yes, yes. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Yes, yes. I'm Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. It is Friday. We are here live. And of course, the Friday edition of The Steve Kane Show is the most important Steve Kane show of the week. They're all important, but the Friday show is the most important of all. And that's a simple reason, because this is our weekend overnight program as well as our live morning show. So we are live weekday mornings, morning drive, 6 until 9 a.m. with overnight rebroadcast 7 nights a week, midnight till 6 a.m. We air on 4 radio stations, many other platforms and places too, but just on our 4 radio stations, the Friday edition of the Steve Kane Show airs 36 times before we return live to you Monday morning at 6 a.m. So we always want to make sure the Friday show is the best. And of course, you can listen to us on the radio here in South Florida on AM 1470, 95.3 FM, 96.9 FM, and 103.9 FM radio. That's right, that's right. And watch us live stream on the YouTube. That's right. Oh, man, I don't even know what to begin with today. The story that I saw from Dan Cathy from Chick-fil-A blew my mind away. And one of the best interviews I've ever seen of President Trump occurred last night. Don Jr. interviewed President Trump, and it was an incredible interview, a revealing interview. And yeah. Now, I got a message, before I get into the stories, I got a message from a South Florida listener who messaged me on YouTube yesterday, and I just thought I'd read this message to you. His name is Adam. I'm not going to say your last name, Adam, even though you left it in the message, and those of you out there will understand maybe why I'm not using Adam's full name, even though he used it in his YouTube live. Again, you can watch us on YouTube, live streaming Brian Craig on YouTube. Adam, he wrote me this: I'm new here. Now, the here isn't to Florida or to the show. Wait, you'll find out. This is what Adam wrote me on YouTube yesterday. Listen to this. I'm new here, but I listen to you every day in jail. You were pretty big to inmates. We listen religiously daily. Shout out to the Joseph V. Conti facility. Thank you, Brian. And of course, the Joseph V. Conti facility is the Broward County Stockade, which is over here in Pompano, down the street from all the strip clubs. I don't know why they got the strip clubs down the street from the county jail. Oh my goodness. So big shout out to all of our listeners over there in the Broward County Stockade. Let's get a big cheer going on in the cell block. Oh my goodness. Yeah. We do. We're big in the jail. That's awesome. I wrote him back. I said, maybe Steve and I can go do an appearance. We'll do a personal appearance over at the jail. Oh my goodness. That's awesome. Well, hey, everybody over there in the jail, hey, you'll get out soon, because if you're in the Broward County Stockade, you're just doing a year or less, right? These are guys that are out there for a year or less. right? If you do you can do up to a year. Is it? I don't know what all the deals are with the jails. Anyway, hey, listen, welcome. There's so much going on. Just a shout out to all of our listeners in the Broward County Stockade at the Joseph V. Conti facility. Who is Joseph V. Conti? I don't know, but they named the jail after him. Oh man. All right, so much going on. This interview last night with Don Jr. was spectacular. I'm going to play one clip and one clip only from that interview coming up in a little bit, and it is actually something that should be the lead story throughout America on all of the cable news, and it's something that I have not heard before. As much of a news junkie and consumer of news as I am, I want to start with this nonsense going on with Dan Cathy. Dan Cathy is the CEO of Chick-fil-A, and I don't know, it's been a long time now. It had to have been about 10 years ago when Dan Cathy was on Huckabee's Fox show. It was a Sunday night Fox show, and Dan Cathy said to Huckabee that everyone on the board of directors of Chick-fil-A, he says, we are all married to our first wives. And of course, there was a nationwide boycott and protest organized against Chick-fil-A, and mostly by gays and gay activists, because this is before gay marriage was the law of the land. And they descended nationwide saying that he was speaking out against gay marriage, which is not the case. What Dan Cathy of Chick-fil-A was speaking out against were people that are on their second wife or third wife or fourth wife and claim to be Christians and things like this. It had nothing to do with gay marriage. He was talking about divorce and remarriage. Keep in mind, most guys that are remarried are married to their former mistresses, right? Yes. And then there was a nationwide counter-protest of support by conservatives and Christians, and not all Christians are conservative, sadly, but there was a nationwide counter-protest of support. And there was like a luncheon where Christians, Republicans nationwide went to their local Chick-fil-A's for lunch. And they've had a lot of support from conservatives, big-time support since then. I'm a fan of Chick-fil-A. I eat at Chick-fil-A at least once a week. I usually order the same thing. I'll get two, not one, but two spicy chicken sandwich, no pickle. I don't like pickles. I like my spicy sandwich without the pickle. And I do add ketchup to it, and their ketchup is spicy, so I add spicy ketchup to their spicy sandwiches, and I love Chick-fil-A. And even during the height of the coronavirus pandemic, there's a Chick-fil-A right down the street from the radio station here. Even during the pandemic, there were lines around the block during for the drive-thru with Chick-fil-A. And anytime you go to the mall food court, the longest line at the food court is always for Chick-fil-A, except on Sundays, of course, when they are closed. So, Chick-fil-A is very good. It's very popular. I love Chick-fil-A. Christians love Chick-fil-A. If you've eaten at Chick-fil-A, you probably love it too. When I go there, though, to Chick-fil-A, I always joke around with my daughter. The people that work there, the kids that work there, they have nice uniforms. They're always well groomed. They have nice uniforms. They always look nice. But I always feel like I'm being helped and served by a church group. Like they do all the recruiting at the church youth groups. And I don't mean that as a negative. They just seem very well put together people. Well, Dan Cathy from Chick-fil-A is back in the news. Have you seen this story? This is so bizarre. Chick-fil-A's Dan Cathy is asking white Christians to repent of racism. I'm not kidding. I'm going to play the audio of this in just a bit. White Christians should repent for racism and fight for their black brothers and sisters, Chick-fil-A CEO urged after weeks of protest over police brutality and the death of Brooks in Atlanta. Dan Cathy spoke about racism in America during a 70-minute roundtable discussion Sunday, this was last week, at Passion City Church in Atlanta. Now, this would have been 2 days after Brooks was killed by the cop, and the day after they had all those Saturday night protests last weekend in Atlanta. Most of us, this is Dan Cathy says, most of us white people, we're out of sight, out of mind. oblivious to what Kathy said about injustices against black Americans. We cannot let this moment pass. He's the son of the founder of Chick-fil-A. He's had about a dozen Chick-fil-A restaurants vandalized in the last week. He says, my plea would be for white people rather than point fingers. And he was speaking with a Christian rapper who's black, a black rapper, whose name is Lecrae. I've never heard of Lecrae. I've never heard his Christian rap. I'll probably look him up today on YouTube Music or something. He was speaking at the church on stage with Christian rapper Lecrae. And this is what took place. He went... Well, let me take the break. And then I'll play the audio. Because Dan Cathy, as most bleeding hearts, thinks he's doing something that is anti-racist, but actually is promoting a horrible stereotype, which is very racist in itself, which we'll get to. All right, let's take our first break of the Friday morning weekend edition of Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Slim Shady, Brian Craig. All right, our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE-1. It's a toll-free call from anywhere. 1-888-GO-CANE-1. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Brian Craig here. When it comes to auto repair, you want a garage that you can trust. Someone that will only do work on your car when your car needs work. Introducing Champagne Automotive in Boca Raton, the latest sponsor of the Steve Kane Radio Show. Tom called in on the radio to tell us about his experience with Champagne Automotive.
Hi, this is Tom from Tamarack.
Hey, Tom from Tamarack, what's up?
I just want to tell you guys something. I spent the last 2 days trying to get brakes for my car. I was leaving the house yesterday to go try another place that had a lower price. They wanted $800 for brakes. And that advertisement came on for Champagne. I live in Western Tamarack. I said, let me take a drive up there. Well, I was almost blown over how friendly, honest, old school these people are.
Old school, that's really the term that really describes it.
But let me tell you, the guy I had gone to previously won $800. He said, well, you need to take your power steering fluid, and Ed, the owner, put the car up in the lift, pulled the wheels, because you don't need brakes. And I about fell over.
Wow, well, tell me the end of the story. You got me hooked.
So it wasn't that your vehicle was misdiagnosed at the other place. You were dealing with a crook.
Oh, absolutely. This guy wanted to sell me everything but a washing machine. I don't want that.
Now, this is our new sponsor. We have wanted for a long time to have an auto repair shop. When it comes to auto repair, that is the most difficult category for us to find as an advertiser, because most are like this guy you were dealing with the other day over in Tamarack.
That's right.
Crooks. And we found Champagne Automotive. Ed, who's the owner, is a listener of the program. They come very, very highly recommended.
What do you, I'm not, this is serious business, Lisa. It's not a time to laugh.
Champagne Automotive, they're in Boca off Spanish River Boulevard, immediately west of Dixie Highway. The number is 561-245-8101. 561-245-8101.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WW.
All right, welcome everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show as we welcome Champagne Automotive as our newest sponsor here on the Steve Kane Show. They'll never do a car repair that your car does not need. That's right. All right, welcome back. So the CEO, Dan Cathy of Chick-fil-A, is asking white people to repent of racism. He was at church Sunday speaking with, I guess, the pastor, and he was on stage with a black Christian rapper by the name of Lecrae, who I've never heard of before, and he actually cleaned the man's shoes. And let me play this. Okay, here we have. This is Dan Cathy on stage with Lecrae at the church last week. Here we go.
He shared with me about a revival that was taking place in a church in Texas. And at that revival, in the front seat was an older African American man that was sitting there. And this young man got up that was there in that service, and he'd been so gripped with conviction about the racism that was in that local community in a small town in Texas, that he took a shoe brush and he walked over to this elderly gentleman and he knelt on his knees and began to shine his shoes and tears began to flow in that service. It was an attitude of conviction. So I invite folks just to put some words to action here.
Okay, now Dan Cathy, he's getting up out of his chair, and he has a brush like I have not seen in many years with him, that he's going to walk over to black Christian rapper Lecrae with. Listen.
And if we need to find somebody that needs to have their shoe shine, we need to just go right on over and shine their shoes. And whether they got tennis shoes on or not, maybe they got sandals on, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But there's a time in which we need to have, some personal action here. Maybe we need to give them a hug too, brother.
And some stock in Chick-fil-A.
See, now this is the thing. Here you got Christian rapper Lecrae. Dan Cathy, the CEO, has just shined his shoes with a shoe shine brush. He's hugged the man. And he's repenting of his racism. And what does Lecrae want? He wants more. This is not enough. He wants some of that Chick-fil-A stock too for free as a reparation.
Some personal action here. Maybe we need to give them a hug too, brother.
And some stock in Chick-fil-A.
But I bought about 1,500 of these, and I gave to all our Chick-fil-A operators and staff a number of years ago. And so any expressions of a contrite heart, of a sense of humility, a sense of shame, a sense of embarrassment, beget with an apologetic heart. I think that's what our world needs to hear today.
Okay, so he has this shoe shine brush, which I've not seen a shoe shine brush in a long time. And it's a big one too. So Dan Cathy wants to repent and clean the sneakers of Lecrae, but he doesn't want to give up that Chick-fil-A stock, because when Lecrae asked for that reparation, I just heard laughter and it was ignored by Dan Cathy. Okay, the shoe shine brush he had. Now I did tweet this. If you want to look on my Twitter, Brian Craig Show on the Twitter. Dan Cathy some time ago gave a shoe shine brush to every 1,500 Chick-fil-A restaurants around the country. I don't know how many there are right now. I don't know how many there were at that time. This is, Dan Cathy is a typical bleeding heart. This is one of the most racist things I've ever heard. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. Now, there is a Christian tradition of doing a ceremonial foot washing in church. I've seen this happen a couple times in Mass, and they pick a few people in advance, and there'll be during the Mass, the priest will come out and wash the feet of people in front of the whole church, because of the foot washing that Jesus did himself. And I remember one year the priest, he was talking about how these are some pretty feet. Everyone went out and had manicures and their nails painted. When Jesus was doing this, they were walking out in the desert and all this stuff. So it's a much different thing. Dan Cathy didn't wash Lecrae's feet, and he's not calling on white people to wash the feet of African Americans to repent from racism. He's telling you to get a shoe shine brush and shine their shoes. And the racism of that from Dan Cathy, that's a horrible stereotype. Because the stereotype from years ago when shoe shining was a thing and a profession was that black men did all the shoe shining. Now, I've had my shoes shined a couple of times when I was a kid, and I did it myself. Went to the store, bought the shoe polish, and did it myself. I've never had an actual real shoe shine, but the shoe shine brush is for shoe shiners that he views as black men. So he's repenting and he's promoting a very terrible stereotype. And so far as these shoe shine brushes that Dan Cathy gave to the Chick-fil-A operators, the franchise owners, 1,500 of them sometime back, I'm very surprised we never heard this story before. I imagine we'll start to hear more about it because this is all over the Twitter. Fox News actually reported this story, and it's all over the place. Now, I'm not going to stop eating at Chick-fil-A. I enjoy Chick-fil-A. I do. But I have often noticed, and my daughter takes note of this a lot, that Chick-fil-A, unlike other fast food restaurants around town, the employees tend to be whiter than other places. There's less diversity at Chick-fil-A than I see at other fast food places, and I think that's true. It could be just the Chick-fil-A's in the areas in which I travel, but I've been to a lot of Chick-fil-A's all over the place, and you know, it's mostly white people that work at them. I've never seen a black franchisee. There's one Chick-fil-A I go to at the local mall here. They're on their, I don't know, 4th or 5th owner. Because the owner of the franchise is always, they always have a picture of them right there. This is 3rd, 4th, 5th owner of that franchise. They've all been white. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that or anything. But this white guilt of Dan Cathy, that was the most bizarre thing I have ever seen someone do. And I don't know if Lecrae was aware that this was going to happen. He looks as if he was caught off guard. I would not recommend that people go around and shine the shoes of black people like Dan Cathy did. I think it's absurd. I think it promotes a very racist stereotype. You know, it's so typical of the left. When they're trying to do something to counter racism, they do something that can be viewed as racism with the shoe shining. Now, another thing I just want to touch on before the bottom of the hour. I was talking to you all yesterday about the Christopher Columbus statues. I've got some updates on that. Well, let me take a call. The phones are ringing. Let me take a couple of calls and I'll get into that. Good morning. You are on the radio.
Hey, Mike and Boca.
Hey, Mike and Boca.
I have heard of Lecrae.
You have the Christian rapper Lecrae? Okay.
I've heard a couple of
How does a guy rap without using profanity and things like that? I'll listen to Lecrae.
It's very good. It's very positive. There's a lot of good Christian music out there. You would be surprised.
No, I like Christian music. I don't listen to it too much anymore, but you know, I've been to Christian concerts, and yeah.
I listen to it a lot. I'm 49. I stopped listening to rap like 20 years ago, but within the last 10 years, I've started listening to a lot of Christian music, and one of the first rappers I ever heard of was Lecrae.
Really?
I watched all his videos on YouTube. I listened to that. It's very good. It's very positive.
Yeah, I imagine it is. I'm sure it's very good. I've listened to Christian music. Yeah.
As far as Kathy goes, he's just towing the line of please don't destroy the stores.
No, not really. Before all this happened, he said some years ago he gave out 1,500 shoe shining brushes to franchises around the country.
Is he from Texas?
I thought they were from Texas. This Lecrae shoe shining thing he did was in Atlanta.
No, he was from Atlanta, but is Kathy from Texas?
I thought they were from Texas. I don't know. Why do you ask?
Oh, maybe because we're in bad Texas.
Well, the stereotype of the you know, I haven't seen someone shining shoes in public since I was a kid. Okay, and but the stereotype of a shoe shiner is an African American man who kind of looks like Sam in Casablanca. You know what I mean? Very stereotypical.
He tried a little too hard there.
Yeah, I was embarrassed for him. Watching that, I was embarrassed for him.
Yeah, I actually saw your tweet and I looked at it. I saw it 2 minutes ago. I said to myself, I can't watch this anymore. This is ridiculous.
But you know, this is the thing about when you apologize and things like this. Before he was even done, Lecrae's already asking him for money, for reparations, in the form of Chick-fil-A stock.
I think that was just a joke.
Oh, really? You think Lecrae would turn down the free Chick-fil-A stock? I don't think so.
I wouldn't turn it down if I said that. Someone did. I wouldn't turn it down.
Did you catch the interview of President Trump by Don Jr. last night on Triggered on YouTube?
I saw a little bit last night.
Oh.
I have to watch it because is it actually a real interview? Or is it a little sarcasm?
No, no. Don Jr. does a podcast. It's called Triggered, which is the name of his book. And he does online interviews that are on YouTube. And last night he interviewed his father for Father's Day. It was not a parody. It was a real interview. Yeah. I'm going to play one clip and one clip only of it after the break.
I caught the clip where he was talking about the beard and he was telling Don shave it off.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. All right. Hey, appreciate the call. Take care. Take care. All right. It's time for our bottom of the hour break. When we get back, I'm going to play just one clip, the major clip, from Don Jr.'s interview of the president on Triggered last night. It was the best interview ever of the president, and one thing was revealed that was spectacular. All right, listen, my name is Brian Craig. Your calls certainly are welcome. It's a toll-free call from anywhere. Toll-free 1-888-GO-CANE 1-888-465-2631. Let's take that break. We will be back right after this.
Any lab tests now of Boca and Coral Springs are the best labs to go to when you need quick and affordable lab work that's private and accurate. Don't go to those other labs where you have to wait hours just to be seen by an unfriendly lab tech. Everything at any lab test now of Boca and Coral Springs is first class. The labs are super clean. The techs highly skilled and professional. Plus their prices are the lowest you will find. Guaranteed. If your time is valuable, and I know it is, you cannot wait around to get your lab work. Any lab test now of Boca and Coral Springs.
Make sure you guys subscribe, all right? Subscribe, click the notification bell.
With no appointment, no doctor's order or prescription necessary. In and out in 15 minutes or less. And they're always friendly and courteous. When you go to any lab test now at Boca and Coral Springs, you are putting your health care.
Has anyone ever had a real professional shoe shine? I've never had one.
Test you need, whether it's a blood test, urine test, drug test, STD test.
Oh, this is a pimple. I woke up with a pimple yesterday.
Boca and Coral Springs have you covered.
Really?
Any lab test now at Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza, where the Western Beef is.
Really? I would imagine at the bar they'd have like women in bikinis doing the.
Any lab test now of Coral Springs is on the
I would love that,
corner
Neil.
of University and Ramblewood near the Coral Square Mall. Call any lab test now of Boca at 561-237-5009. Any lab test now of Coral Springs 954-906-5983. Any lab test now of Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show.
Not yet. It will. I haven't heard it yet.
The Steve Kane Show. It costs $350 for single people, $450 for married couples. When you complete your trust with attorney Barry Siegel, he will give you a $100 gift certificate to Tavolino Italian Restaurant in Coral Springs. The Siegel Law Group, with offices throughout Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade County. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on
Lab test now of Coral Springs. They are open on Saturdays, and still with all of their thousands of lab tests on Saturdays, no appointment necessary, no doctor's order needed, just walk right in and out in 15 minutes or less, and they guarantee the lowest price on all of their thousands of tests, and everything is always confidential. Now, any lab test now of Coral Springs and Boca are also offering coronavirus testing and the sought-out high-demand antibody test. I've had both, and I'm negative for both people. But, you know, hey, listen, you've seen the news here in South Florida. The numbers are rising. You want to know if you or your family or your coworkers have it. Or if you or your coworkers or family members have been exposed and have the antibodies. This is all great information to have. And any lab test now of Coral Springs and Boca, when it comes to the coronavirus testing or the antibody test, and by the way, I got my results back the next day, 24 hours. Not saying yours will get back that soon, but mine did. They do ask that you call ahead for the coronavirus and the antibody testing, all right? Any lab test now of Coral Springs, located on the southeast corner of University Drive in Ramblewood, over by the Coral Square Mall, and their number, listed at SteveKaneShow.com, both locations, 954-906-5983, 954-906-5983. Any lab test now of Boca in the Sandalfoot Plaza where the Western Beef is, between Palmetto and Hillsborough on the east side of 441 State Road 7. And any lab test now of Boca's number, also listed at SteveKaneShow.com, is 561-237-5009. 561-237-5009. And again, they are open on Saturdays. Okay. So Don Jr. interviewed his father, the President of the United States, on Triggered last night. I watched it on YouTube. The best interview ever of the President. I'm going to play just one clip and one clip only, which should be the lead story everywhere. This isn't getting any play. There was a second thing that was asked that's getting a lot of play because it was, people think it's funny. This is not the clip I'm going to play, so I'm just going to tell you about this. Don Jr. asked the president if there are aliens or were aliens at Area 51, Roswell, New Mexico. The president said there were interesting things there and declined to answer. So he did not deny the aliens at Area 51, and that is being, I've seen that story everywhere. But that's not the story from the interview. I actually learned, so I didn't expect to learn anything new in that interview. I figured, well, it's going to be good because it's Don Jr. and it's President Trump, but I wasn't expecting news to be broken in the Don Jr. interview, and major news was broken, and it's not being reported anywhere. Let me just play you the clip, and this interview was taped in advance, and the president suggests making a campaign ad based on this information that he learned in the interview from Don Jr., and at the end you actually hear the commercial that he produced. This is Don Jr. interviewing his father last night on Triggered. That was on the YouTube.
I found this sort of ironic. Documents that were taken in the Osama bin Laden raid, and the raid that killed Osama bin Laden with our friend Rob O'Neill, they finally declassified them. And in there were paperwork from Osama bin Laden saying that he wanted to because it would put Joe Biden in charge, and essentially he's so grossly incompetent it would lead to the destruction of America. What does it say to you that basically the Democrat nominee for President of the United States got the posthumous Osama bin Laden endorsement?
Now that is huge. Those are documents found in the Osama bin Laden raid that bin Laden wanted Biden to be president because he was so weak and incompetent. Just recently declassified. It's amazing. It's a huge story.
That this guy is the guy that they put forth.
It says to me, I didn't know that, and it says to me, we're going to immediately make a commercial out of that, if that's true. Is that true?
It's true. I saw this. I was watching, I had Rob O'Neill on this very podcast because he's the guy.
By the way, say no more. It's a great commercial.
Well, you're welcome.
Because it happens to be true. Okay? We speak the truth.
Well, then that's your Father's Day present. Congratulations.
Okay, so that's crazy. How many of you knew that? Have any of you heard that? I had not heard that before. Total media blackout. Osama bin Laden wanted Biden to be president. So the President Trump, he said we should make a commercial out of that. He actually did, and this is an official Trump for President 2020 campaign commercial. Listen.
It's a great commercial.
Well, you're welcome.
Because it happens to be true. Okay? We speak the truth.
Well, then that's your Father's Day present. Congratulations.
Under President Trump, America has become safer and stronger, with endorsements from countless veterans and first responders. Joe Biden received endorsement by Osama bin Laden after our brave warriors took him out, which Joe Biden was against doing.
What the reporting was accurate when I said I didn't say go, and I didn't.
Bin Laden wrote his plan to attack Obama to make Joe Biden president, thinking that would be enough of a U.S. disaster in and of itself, expressing Biden is totally unprepared for that post, which will lead the U.S. into crisis. We need a president who terrorists and tyrants fear.
I'm fighting for you, and I love doing it with everything that I have, and you know that.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
That's right. I can't believe... Where's that story? They got the Dan Cathy story. They got the Area 51 alien story. But where is that? I don't know how Republicans have ever gotten elected in this country. I have no freaking idea. They got the fake polls. They got the media after them. When there's news that makes the Democrats look bad, you never hear it. What's going on here? Now, Nancy Pelosi yesterday, she didn't do it personally. That would involve physical labor, which she's above. But she ordered removed, and they were removed from the House chamber, official portraits of former speakers of the House that joined the Confederacy. And I saw the video online. I saw it on television. I didn't hear one report say accurately, one news organization, that Nancy Pelosi removed the portrait of Democrats. And what's going on here is something I've been telling you about this week with these name changes of Broward County and the city of Plantation and taking down Columbus and all this stuff. what they're trying to do with the monuments, these paintings, is they realize now they've lost a lot of the black vote because people like Candace Owens and many others, me and many of you out there, black Americans have been educated as to the racist past of the Democrats. So they're taking down all of these monuments and renaming this and renaming that. They're doing this to wipe out that history so that the next generation of African Americans won't know that the Democrats are the party of slavery, the Confederacy, and everything else. This isn't a short-term thing just for this election. This is a long game they're playing on this, wiping out the racist history of their own Democrat Party. It's racist history. Good morning. You're on the radio.
Hey, good morning, Brian, Chris.
Hey, Chris. Did you hear the CEO of Chick-fil-A shining the shoes of a black man? Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? But you're right. I mean, when you think of stereotypes, I mean, that is one, not good, bad, or ugly, but yeah.
It's true. The shoe shine is a big racial stereotype. It's a textbook stereotype of black men.
It really is. I haven't thought about it for a while, but it's so true. And you know what? Getting a shoe shine was kind of like a woman going to the nail salon. It was kind of a big to-do for men, and then the service. I mean, I don't think you look forward to that guy being, but yes, stereotype. But you know what? It is far-reaching, and you're right. It's a biblical thing, you know, the washing of the feet. And my pastor did it once because he had he's heartfelt. It symbolizes the heart of a servant, and it's good intentions, but I think even he did it when he was sort of repentful himself for certain things with the ministry. But yeah, that's reaching, that's far-reaching. But I have to say this about Chick-fil-A. They were reaching out for minority franchises. Before my wife got sick with cancer, we were considering it. They had some rules, and they were really reaching out for minority franchises.
What do you mean rules? They had rules? What do you mean?
Well, they were basic. In other words, they didn't want you to have this business and that business and that business. They wanted you 100% sold out, just working as that franchise owner.
Well, yeah, the franchise owners work at the Chick-fil-A's most of the time. I see them all the time there.
Right. They didn't want it to be a multi-thing. So I was prepared because, I was a real estate agent and an entrepreneur. So I said, okay, I will do it. My wife can keep her full-time job that she had, which was great because she was making.
How much was it franchise going to cost you? Do you remember?
We had a minimum percentage to get involved in. I think it was something as little as $20,000 just to do our part, and the rest was going to be like franchise. Like, in other words, you're paying your royalty fees, and it was going to be sort of like a 60-40 split. In other words, doing it that way. There were other options.
Oh, you mean where the company owns the majority stake and you're like a minority, literally you're a minority shareholder in that franchise? Yeah.
Great deal. We were at 6% of the revenue. So I mean,
I don't know how these things work. I knew a guy that had a Subway years ago, and I can't remember what the commission he had to pay, but he's like, every time I hit that cash register, they get the signal back at corporate, and it's very tough to have a franchise when they get that whatever percentage they get from you. It's a tough business to go, but Chick-fil-A is mighty white over there, doesn't it? Look like you don't see too many minorities working there either.
You see the handful, but I get that. I mean, because as soon as you said that, it went straight to my head. The kids seem very respectful, very, just a cut above the average teenager these days, or they're college age. They're just, seem more mannerable. So, I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, maybe there's not too many mannerable minorities.
Yeah, but him shining the shoes of a black guy and handing out shoe shine brushes to 1,500 franchise owners that's like any other bleeding heart liberal, and that's a bleeding heart liberal concept of Dan Cathy. It's racist. It's because it's promoting a terrible stereotype of the shoe shine guy. I mean, it's this, and Lecrae looked totally embarrassed by it.
If he was having a heartfelt moment, fine, but to suggest your franchise do it, yeah, you're right. That's not
to customers. I mean, it's very strange.
That Osama bin Laden thing.
Oh, the Osama bin Laden endorsement of Joe Biden. Yeah.
I know Obama and Biden, right? Sounds true.
Obama. My wife had a good. She said when they were running, it looked like Obama Ben Biden. My wife told me once when on the bumper stickers. Yeah.
But it doesn't surprise me. Most of those our Democrat leaders are weak. I mean, remember the guy, what was that Secretary of Defense or Secretary of State, Kerry, went over there and he's like, tell them to stop yelling at me. I mean, they're just so soft and weak and sympathetic. If they think these people are going to sort of, I don't know, let down their guard and not be so whatever they are towards America, but it doesn't pay, it doesn't work. And so you see what Osama bin Laden.
Well, Obama doesn't think much of Biden. I don't see him out there campaigning for Biden. I mean, I
remember Obama told him, listen, Joe, you don't have to do this. I mean, he had a heck of a career as a senator. I say heck of a career, long career anyway. And then he was vice president for 8 years. He's like, okay, sit down. Everybody doesn't get to do that.
I'm not sure why he picked Biden. I'm not really sure why he picked Biden to be his running mate out of everyone. I don't know what Biden brought to the table. I don't know.
Interesting pick.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember enough at the time, but listen, Obama, that says so much about Biden. And these documents have been declassified. These were official documents from the raid. That story should be all over the place. It is worthy of a discussion, and there's a media blackout on it. Total media blackout.
Over 90% of our media doesn't want to make them look bad, so you're not going to get that. I mean, and that brings me back to the history. We were talking about with the shoe shining and everything, with Nancy Pelosi removing these other. I mean, that's too telling. I mean, once you start opening up that's it. They're only going to tell their party who were the keepers of Jim Crow. So,
well, what I was talking about though before your call is true. What the Democrats are involved in is trying to wipe out their own racist history, and it will be successful probably because they're taking all of these things that are up, like what she did yesterday, or the monuments they take down of generals and things all over the place. They're in Democrat communities. They're not going to go back up, so they are rewriting history, and part of that history is the history books of this country are written by the left-wing university professors too. So they've got the liberal professors writing the history, and now that's why so many people are uninformed about it. And now they've done strategizing. We've lost a huge percentage of the black vote to Donald Trump. What can we do? Blacks are waking up about our racist past. Let's take down all of our monuments so people will forget, and they will forget because those monuments are reminders of history that should be there for that very purpose. But it's a rewriting of the Democrat Party's history. That's what's going on here.
I mean, come on.
Have you ever had a professional shoe shine, by the way? I've never had one.
Neither have I. I've seen it. I live in the Marine Corps, so I shine my own.
Yeah, and I just wear Vans all the time. You can't get these. Although I have been at the Sawgrass Mills Mall, and they have these guys that clean sneakers, and I have had them ask to clean my sneakers.
I've seen a lot of the regular shoes shine, especially when I was, New York and every place I was traveling. But you're right, I've seen a lot of it, but I've never had.
I still, though, on occasion, at the airport, I'll go to the airport to pick someone up, and they'll still have at the airports the shoe shine stations. Those elevated chairs. I'll see those sometimes, but I never see anyone shining shoes in them. I don't know.
Slowly spinning kind of.
Well, maybe they just have them there in case Dan Cathy of Chick-fil-A comes in and he feels like shining people's shoes as they're getting off planes. All right, Chris, thanks for the call. We'll take our last break of the first hour. When we get back, there is more to share. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. We'll be right back.
It's summertime, and that means backyard barbecues and hanging out by the pool. With Father's Day right around the corner, get Dad the gift all dads will love. A new grill from Ace Hardware Deerfield or Beach Ace Hardware in Lauderdale by the Sea. They are your grilling headquarters. They have an incredible selection on all the top brands like Weber and Traeger.
I've heard of
Juneteenth. Best deals around on every type of grill there is. Gas grills, charcoal grills, portable grills, and more. Free assembly and delivery is available too. Ace Hardware Deerfield is just south of Hillsboro. on the west side of US 1. BJ's Hardware is in Lauderdale by the Sea. Tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show. And happy Father's Day.
This is the place for the helpful hardware, folks.
This is Brian Craig. I've been telling you about the great deals and incredible customer service at Friendly Tire on both new tires and used tires. One of our listeners, Antonio, went to Friendly Tire and called to share with us his experience of buying used tires at Friendly Tire in Margate.
Good morning, you're on the radio.
Hey, yes, Brian, I want to give you a quick testimony about the tire place up in Margate, Friendly Tire. Friendly Tire is everything you said it would be, man. I went up there and got me some used tires, and when I went there, man, he was very courteous. My whole family's going for that, man. Everything you said it was going to be, man. I appreciate you for that, man, and Mike's a great guy, man.
Well, what's your name?
Antonio.
All right, Antonio. Hey, I'm glad we could save you and your family lots of money on tires at Friendly Tire.
Oh, no doubt, man. Thanks so much, man.
Do what Antonio did. Stop into Friendly Tire and find incredible deals.
That's exactly
on
what it
new
is.
And used tires. Give Friendly Mike a call right now. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. And Mike will give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeart.
Yeah, and if you are over at Friendly Tire later this morning, you will very likely run into Steve Kane and his son Tyler. Tyler's over there getting 2 new tires on his car this morning. And this is just an unbelievable deal. Brand new tires over there at Friendly Tire for his Toyota. The lowest price we could find around town for Tyler's tires. Oh, I like that. Tyler's Tires. That sounds like the name of a store too. But the lowest price we could find around town for Tyler's tires was $165 a tire. Lowest price, of course, except for the Friendly Tire price. But at all the places around town, I went online. The lowest price I could find for these tires for Tyler Kane's car, $165 a tire. Friendly Mike's price at Friendly Tire, $75 a tire. And that's out the door and on the road for brand new tires because there's no added fees, no mounting charges, balancing charges, or whatever other fees they add on. $75 a tire. Brand new, out the door and on the road. That's a $90 savings per tire. It's an amazing deal. Friendly Tire in Margate. Give Mike a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. Online, friendlytire.net. And again, if you're over there this morning, you likely will run into Steve and his son, Tyler. Okay, yeah, you know what amazes me? I'm watching the chat room all week long on our YouTube live feed, Brian Craig on YouTube. And it is amazing to me how many people have never heard of Juneteenth. I've heard of Juneteenth, it seems like forever, at least since I've been in Florida. And I don't know why that is. I'm not sure why. I just assumed everyone was familiar with Juneteenth. I guess it depends on what community you're in. Juneteenth is a bigger holiday in certain places than others. You know, just like in Florida, you know, Jewish holidays are a bigger deal than they were when I lived in Columbus, Ohio, because there's a larger population of Jews here, so, you know, it's a bigger deal than it was there. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I've always known of Juneteenth, at least as far back as I can remember. I don't have a recollection not being familiar with Juneteenth. And Juneteenth, it's a pretty good holiday. I mean, I think it's a spectacular holiday. And Juneteenth... What Juneteenth is, it signifies the day in 1865 when the slaves in Texas, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, were told by Union troops and the former Democrat Confederate state of Texas that they were free and no longer slaves. And the date was June 19th, 1865, and that's where the holiday comes from. I think it's a great holiday. You know... I don't know why it's not a national holiday. I think Juneteenth should be a national holiday. President Trump should make Juneteenth a national holiday with the Congress. I think that would be spectacular. I don't know why it's not. It's an important turning point in this country. It's important to African Americans, no doubt. It should be a date that is important for all Americans. I mean, how many national holidays do we have? Some of them are absurd. There's like National Donut Day or something. You know what I mean? You got all these ridiculous holidays. So Juneteenth should definitely be a national holiday. And it should be a holiday that is championed by conservatives, by Republicans, by President Trump, because it is a very important day for African Americans. You know, there was a lot of controversy. I was just a teenager then, but there was a lot of controversy around making Martin Luther King Day a national holiday. And I don't, that's a great holiday too. And, you know, if you're not in a black community, Martin Luther King Day is something that's not really celebrated. But if you go into the black communities of America, Martin Luther King Day is huge. I went to, years ago when Steve and I were doing the Steve Kane TV show, we used to do this very good, although very strange, community television, cable access TV show. And Steve and I went to a Martin Luther King Day celebration. It was during the week. We got off the air. We went to this, and it was somewhere off of Sistrunk Boulevard here in Fort Lauderdale. And it was a big, I could not believe the turnout for this. And it was a little disappointing in that they had a stage with Democrat speakers coming up, you know, and they were speaking about Democrat things. I didn't hear really too much remembering by the Democrats of Martin Luther King. But Martin Luther King Day is a huge holiday. It's in January. And Juneteenth is also a big holiday in the black community. And I think it's a good one. Yeah, you know, Father's Day is a great holiday too. I believe Father's Day is the most important holiday of the year. Most important day of the year is Father's Day. That's right. I hope you all, if you have not done this already, by the way, Ace Hardware, Deerfield Beach Ace Hardware, the great deals they have on grills for Father's Day. They have every type of grill you can imagine. And they will not only assemble the grill for you, they'll deliver it. So that's spectacular. So Ace Hardware, Deerfield, Beach Ace Hardware. There is not a dad or a granddad or a husband who would not like a grill. You know what I got that I really like is an electric grill. They have electric grills over there too. I like electric grills. You can get that char. People say, do you get that char on it? Yes, you do. You can. So anyway, go talk to them at Ace Hardware about that great Father's Day gift. But yeah, it just amazes me how few people are familiar, well, I should say how few white conservatives are familiar with Juneteenth. Big holiday, big holiday. But you know, I don't do much for holidays at all. Even 4th of July, I stay home for the 4th of July. I used to go out on holidays, but now I just stay home and watch everything on TV. I don't really like going out to the parks and doing all the park stuff during the holidays. It's too much traffic, too many people drinking. You know, 4th of July is coming up. I haven't gone out for fireworks on the 4th of July in a long, long time. They do a pretty good fireworks display near my house at a park. And what I usually do is about an hour before the fireworks, I'll go with my daughter, we'll drive by where they have them and watch them. But I don't like to be out on Memorial Day. I don't like to be out on 4th of July. Too many drunks out there when you're coming home. So they've been on 4th of July, they've been drinking all day, and they're driving home after the fireworks. So that's always a rough one. And I think 4th of July is on a weekend this year. Is it on a Saturday? So that even means it's more dangerous to be out on the road on the 4th of July. Now listen, in the next hour, we got a lot of things we're going to touch on. I want to take some of your calls too on the Dan Cathy issue. I want to hear from you all too on the Don Jr. revelation about Osama bin Laden and Biden. That just blew my mind. We'll talk more about that. I'll replay those clips later in the show because I think people need to hear all of them. And also, the Republican mayor of Tulsa is harassing the Trump supporters who have shown up for the Tulsa rally. We'll talk about that as well. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. And if you're new to the program, and it's amazing how many new people join us each and every week that I hear from, we are live in the mornings from 6 until 9 a.m. with overnight rebroadcast midnight till 6 a.m. 7 nights a week. You can listen to the program on AM 1470, 103.9 FM, 95.3 FM, and 96.9 on the FM dial. You can also listen to us on iHeartRadio and the iHeartRadio app and the TuneIn app, T-U-N-E. The TuneIn app and the iHeartRadio app, searching for us by our station call letters, WWNE. N. That's 2 W's and 2 N's. And if you're listening to us on the apps and you're in your car, you can listen to us on your Bluetooth, no matter where you are in the world, inside your vehicle. I listen to the show on the way in a lot on the iHeartRadio app, on the Bluetooth in my car. Sometimes I listen on the radio too, but I listen to both just to see technically how things are going. And the iHeartRadio and TuneIn app, it's that studio sound. When you're listening on iHeartRadio or the TuneIn app, you are hearing the audio the same way I'm hearing it as I'm speaking here in my headphones in the studio. So that, I mean, it's sometimes when we first went on FM and first started iHeart, I didn't even recognize my voice at first. It sounds so different than on the AM signal. All right, listen, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. We will take our break for the top of the hour. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
0.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
The following is a commercial announcement paid for by Christian Knuckles and does not reflect the views of the station or its licensee.
The stated purpose of pandemic mitigation was to flatten the curve so the healthcare system would not be overwhelmed. That goal was achieved, but the scaremongers made everyone think the goal is no new cases. That is not the goal. In fact, it is impossible. Newsflash, we need new cases to develop herd immunity. Immunity develops from exposure to the virus, and there is very little reason to fear. The mortality rate is 0.2%, and if you exclude the very old, 80 and above, the risk is the same as that while driving to work. And the majority of test-positive persons have no symptoms. Cases does not equal death. Open the restaurants. Only the vulnerable should be wearing masks. This is Christian Knuckles.
This is Steve Kane for attorney Barry Siegel. Barry did a great job for me and my family when we needed a revocable living trust. Listen to one of our listeners, Ray, talk about his experience with Barry Siegel.
I want to praise Barry Siegel. And one of the most important things about sponsors is integrity. You have to know that you're dealing with an honest person. I had to go to Myrtle Beach for my sister because her husband died, and I was helping her out. She had a trust and everything. She had not revised this trust since 1997. And, Barry said,
there's the Trump train.
I called Barry's office.
It's not quite light enough. Can you guys see it?
The secretary, and I said, look, I'm calling from South Carolina. I know the laws are different.
That's it right there.
I'm just asking for information for my sister. Now, most people would just blow you up, right? You know, almost immediately, within a few minutes, Barry himself called me. I asked my questions and so on, and he answered. He was very patient. I was quite a while with him, and talking about a lot of things, and this and that. But I wanted to say, character, integrity, these are the most important things with sponsors, and all of your sponsors, because I've dealt with a lot of them, they all have that. You can trust them, and you're getting a fair shake.
Do what Ray did. Call attorney Barry Siegel right now. Toll free 1-855-FLA-3782. That's 1-855 toll free FLA-3782. Tell him Steve sent you.
Down, Dr. Matez can fix it.
Steve Kane Show.
Dr. Matez introduced South Florida to
Hey, Scott. Hold on.
hormone pellets. This safe and effective therapy will reverse the symptoms of aging and leave you feeling fantastic. Energy, sex drive, and weight control are just a phone call away. If you want to look good again, feel good again, and function good again, call Boca Raton Center for Age Management at 561-953-5490 or online at brc4am.com.
It's vibrating the floor. I can feel the floor vibrating.
Listening to
That's a
South
big old freight
Florida's
train.
longest running radio show, the Kane Show. To call the show toll free, dial 1-888-COCAINE-1. That's 1-888-COCAINE-1.
All right, welcome everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest running radio show, the Steve Kane Show. The most difficult point of each and every day for me living here in South Florida is the bit of time from when I get out of my car, walk in the Florida heat and humidity to the front door of my car, and I get inside my home and my air conditioning is blowing that cool air. Well, you know, that heat and humidity is rising. It's getting hotter and more humid each and every day. The hot days of summer are here, people, and it's getting hotter each and every day. And on the line, we have Scott from Cut My Kilowatts. He is going to put your home in the shade. He's going to do it with an incredible deal he's offering to listeners of this program. And he's going to cut your electric bill by putting your house in the shade, keeping your air conditioning system from having to run hours and hours and hours. They may not have to because it's just too hot in your attic. Scott from Cut My Kilowatts, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Brian. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Tell people how you can save them big money on their electric bill forever.
Well, Brian, our biggest energy saver and our biggest money saver is the radiant barrier that we install in the attic underneath the roof deck at the bottom of the trusses. It's like a big aluminum foil tarp. When we get down there, attic looks like the inside of the space shuttle car with accidents opening up with the aluminum foil, the silver stuff. It literally stops the heat penetration from the roof. This works best on shingle roofs, but it also works really good for tile roofs if they have the darker colors. Really makes a dramatic difference in their electric bill. The Radiant Shield by itself can save up to 20 to 30% on the bill. If you combine it with proper blown-in insulation, sometimes we can cut the bill 35, even 40%.
Now, in someone's garage where there's no air conditioning, tell people how the radiant barrier can actually lower the temperature inside of the garage.
Well, we put it up in the attic, just like you would over the rest of the house. But because there's no heat gain from the roof, the temperature in the garage drops, like 5, 10, 15 degrees.
Wow.
On the garage. The hotter the garage is, the bigger the difference, the cooler it gets.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Most people like me, I think we have our washer and dryer in the garage, and during the summertime, you can't go out there during the day. It's just too hot. It's just too hot. But with the radiant barrier lowering that temperature 15 degrees, oh my goodness, it makes it usable space, and it's also better for the things you store out there too. Now, Scott, you're offering a big deal for the month of June for Steve Kane listeners.
Yeah, basically till the end of this month, you can get the radiant barrier at 50% off. That means you get it installed for $1 per square foot. And if you have, houses over 1,500 square feet, I'll give you $500 off on the radiant barrier. So it's a really good deal for people. I mean, I've never sold it this cheap before, direct to people. Usually we sell through dealers, but with the pandemic, we can't have door-to-door salesmen go knocking door-to-door. So we're selling over the radio.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And, Scott from Cut My Kilowatts has been here with us on the Steve Kane Show for many, many years. And I've talked to many listeners over the years that are customers of Scott from Cut My Kilowatts, and they're all very, very happy. And this radiant barrier, once it's installed, it's there. And year after year, summer after summer, saving you money. And I think it's also a great selling point when you go to sell your home as well. Now, listen, this number we give to you for Scott at Cut My Kilowatts rings directly to his cell phone. And he they work on the weekends, and he answers the phone on the weekends too. 954-939-1500. 954-939-1500. That's Scott from Cut My Kilowatts. All right, Scott, have a great weekend. We will talk next week.
Everyone have a great weekend, and God bless America.
Indeed. Thank you. Scott from Cut My Kilowatts. Give him a call today. Call him right now. He's there by his phone. All right, welcome back, everyone. Hour number 2 has begun. So we have this incredible Make America Great Again rally of the presidents in Tulsa this weekend. They've got this never-Trumper mayor in Tulsa who will not attend. He will not attend because of the safety risk from the coronavirus. And people have been camping out all week. People have been in Tulsa waiting for this rally since Saturday. For a week, people have been out there. And the mayor of Tulsa, I don't know anything about this guy. He is a Republican, so I'm going to have to label him a never-Trumper based on what he is doing. He has put in place a curfew, and police have been sent out to harass the Trump supporters waiting for the rally over the weekend. Listen to this. This is an exchange between some Trump train riders waiting for the rally and an officer of the law.
Until 6 a.m. on Sunday.
But that means nobody can line up tomorrow either then.
I don't know, but it just says people are prohibited from walking, running, loitering, standing, motoring, blah, 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 all that stuff within the boundaries of the indicated area.
Is this the first time it was put in place, the curfew?
As far as I know. It was just an email that I opened up just a second ago.
This is from the mayor. This is crazy, guys.
No.
So
the night people been out here since Monday.
Since Saturday.
Since
last Saturday, there's been people out here.
People have been out here and there's no curfew, but now all of a sudden there's a curfew.
2 days before there's a curfew.
2 days before.
And we're hearing that it's actually going to be until Saturday morning at 6 a.m. So till the day of the rally.
2 days before the rally.
So they're and you know what they're doing?
It came from the mayor?
Yeah. You know what they're
Is the
doing?
mayor a Democrat?
I don't know. But obviously, the mayor's not a Trump supporter. I know that.
That's for sure.
Either a never Trump. Do you know if the mayor's a Democrat or Republican by chance?
He's a Republican. I looked it up.
I don't know the answer. I know. Yeah, I'm sure it does. But God bless our police. So this is what. So Bob, you know what this is? This is funneling people into fights. This is pushing people out because that's where the protesters are going to be out there.
Okay, so yeah, I know. Now, another never Trumper. You know, listen, Trump's going to win. He's going to win big. He's going to win bigger than ever. You look at what's going on in this country, people are pretty fed up. I was looking online last night on YouTube. I was watching the local news in Columbus, Ohio, and because I was talking to my mother yesterday. She was talking to a friend of hers in Columbus, and she says they're getting very violent in Columbus, Ohio. Black Lives Matter. So I went on and watched the local news in Columbus, Ohio on YouTube, and I saw a sad story. They're looting, they're breaking windows of businesses all through the downtown area, and there was this one guy, his business was ransacked, they broke the windows, just totally destroyed, and he's a black business owner. And he sells sneakers, and they looted his business, destroyed his business. A black man. What's that got to do with any of the troubles that are going on in this country? This is just people that are looking to go out and destroy things, And I was watching. I mentioned this yesterday, and it's actually being done now by the mayor. They're in front of City Hall in Columbus, Ohio. They have this massive statue of Christopher Columbus, and the Democrat mayor is removing it because he's the big... Christopher Columbus never even set foot on the mainland of the United States, and, what they're doing to Christopher Columbus right now, and the Italian organizations are very upset about this, and they're going to court, so it may not be removed. This is an extension of what Pelosi did yesterday. They're going after everything. And, here's the thing. I was watching, Columbus, Ohio, they have a Republican governor in Ohio, but the city is a Democrat, place like all these other major cities around. And they were interviewing residents about this Christopher Columbus statue, and people are really upset about it. They're like, the city's named Columbus. They're gonna have to change the name of the city. And this wiping, and I was telling my wife, I said, this is so absurd. And they showed Black Lives Matter in front of the Columbus City Hall talking about the racism of Ohio and all this stuff. And I was telling my wife, I said, Ohio was the destination of the Underground Railroad, and the reason there's such a large black population in Ohio is because Ohio was welcoming all the escaped slaves and protecting them from the Democrat slave masters. And while Columbus was not a Democrat, okay, they lump him in with all these other Democrat icons. And, typically, my position is when they're tearing down these monuments, like Pelosi taking the official portraits of these Democrats who joined the Confederacy. And by the way, Nancy, when they joined the Confederacy, they stayed in the Democrat Party. My usual response is, let them do it. But now this is something we've really got to stand up and try to put a stop to peacefully through the courts and other systems. I mean, I'm not one to try to, I don't want to be in a position typically where, okay, we're defending a Civil War general. You know, like in Hollywood, Florida here, there were streets named after Confederate generals. There's some named after presidents, and if you know your presidents, you can always find your way around Hollywood because the streets are in the order. Washington Adams, it goes right down the street. And they had Forrest, you know, Nathan Bedford Forrest Lee and some others, and they renamed them to other things. And, you know, it's a terrible thing to do because those street names or those monuments open up a discussion so people can learn about the past and how things have changed. Okay? And I was talking about this in the last hour. This is so important for people to understand what's going on here with Nancy Pelosi. This is what's going on here. Okay? This country, blacks in particular, have woken up to the fact that all of these racist things we've ever heard about in our society came from the Democrat Party. Everything. Everything. And Nancy Pelosi took those paintings down. They take the monuments down. Everyone they take down, except of Christopher Columbus, was a Democrat. They are wiping out, not the history of this country, they're attempting to wipe out the racist history of the Democrat Party. And they're doing this because they know that they're losing the black vote to Trump. They got together, the DNC, were losing blacks to Trump. Why is this? Why is this? How can we get blacks back voting Democrat? Why are we losing them to Republicans? And they've decided that one of the reasons is because the racist history of their party. So they're wiping out the racist history of the Democrat Party. So that in future elections, I mean, most people don't know this now. Certainly not blacks, because the history books are all written by liberal Democrat college professors, and they don't put this stuff in the history books because they don't want people to know about the racist history of the Democrats. So when they take down all these paintings like Nancy did yesterday, or the monuments down, in 20 years, no one will remember, is what their goal is. This is a long game that the Democrats are playing to rewrite and wipe out their own racist history to try to win back the black vote. Now, over the weekend, we'll take our first break of the second hour. I want to talk a little bit about Bolton a little bit when we get back. All right, my name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. We'll be right back.
Is a commercial announcement paid for by Christian Knuckles and does not reflect the views of the station or its licensee.
The stated purpose of pandemic mitigation was to flatten the curve so the healthcare system would not be overwhelmed. That goal was achieved, but the scaremongers made everyone think the goal is no new cases. That is not the goal. In fact, it is impossible. Newsflash, we need new cases to develop herd immunity. Immunity develops from exposure to the virus, and there is very little reason to fear. The mortality rate is 0.2%, and if you exclude the very old, 80 and above, the risk is the same as that while driving to work. And the majority of test-positive persons have no symptoms. Cases does not equal death. Open the restaurants. Only the vulnerable should be wearing masks. This is Christian Knuckles.
Brian Craig here. When it comes to auto repair, you want a garage that you can trust. Someone that will only do work on your car when your car needs work. Introducing Champagne Automotive in Boca Raton, the latest sponsor of the Steve Kane Radio Show. Tom called in on the radio to tell us about his experience with Champagne Automotive.
Hi, this is Tom from Tamarack.
Hey, Tom from Tamarack, what's up?
I just want to tell you guys something. I spent the last 2 days trying to get brakes for my car. I was leaving the house yesterday to go try another place that had a lower price. They wanted $800 for the brakes. and that advertisement came on for champagne. I live in Western Tamarack. I said, let me take a drive up there. Well, I was almost blown over how friendly, honest, old school these people are.
Old school, that's really the term that really describes it.
But let me tell you, the guy I had gone to previously won $800. He said, well, you need to take your power steering fluid, and Ed, the owner, put the car up on the lift, pulled the wheels. He goes, you don't need brakes. And I about fell over.
Wow, well, tell me the end of the story. You got me hooked.
So it wasn't that your vehicle was misdiagnosed at the other place. You were dealing with a crook.
Oh, absolutely. This guy wanted to sell me everything but a washing machine. I don't want that.
Now, this is our new sponsor. We have wanted for a long time to have an auto repair shop. When it comes to auto repair, that is the most difficult category for us to find as an advertiser, because most are like this guy you were dealing with the other day over in Tamarack, they're crooks. And we found Champagne Automotive. Ed, who's the owner, is a listener of the program. They
What's
come
up?
very, very
That's
highly
half an hour or
recommended.
more
So I
ride
appreciate you coming in and telling us the good story.
Spanish
Now,
River
Champagne
Drive.
Automotive
I know, it is
in
pretty far.
Boca, off Spanish River Boulevard, immediately west of Dixie Highway. The number is 561-245-8101. 561-245-8101.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. You know, in the chat room during the break, someone said, well, the Democrats are still going to win 90% of the black vote, no matter what. See, this is what you don't understand, of course, okay? But this is what people don't get, okay? You take just a little percentage of this demographic, a little percentage of that demographic. The Democrat Party is a loose collection of different groups that really don't like each other that much. They're like the United Nations. They get together, you shave off a little bit there. Remember, in 2000, the presidential election was decided by, what, 250 votes or something in the state of Florida. And congressional races can fall like dominoes when you shave off just a few percentage points of the black vote in different communities and in congressional districts. So that's what has the Democrats in a panic and why they're wiping out our past. They're wiping out their past, not America's past, the Democrats' past. All right, let's take some calls. You're on the radio. Good morning.
I'm opening the eyes up of black people out there listening to your radio station.
Oh, yes.
The Black Caucus, okay? Let's just look at them, okay, in Congress. Democrats, right? Every one of them is rich, and every area that they represent is a hellhole. So you got to figure out, if you're living in a hellhole and your representative is black, and like even for the cities of like Baltimore and everywhere else, you got to figure out how come these people are becoming rich.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, I was talking a couple weeks ago when I traveled over to Belglade, and I was embarrassed that people live that way in America or here in Florida. It's a Democrat town and a Democrat county with a Democrat congressman who's a member of the Black Caucus representing it, and yeah, you're right.
Exactly, and it went all the way to the top of President Obama. There's a guy that spent 8 years. What did he do for black people in this country? Not a thing. And by the way, he's rich now.
Now, did you hear? I started the show with this. You may have missed it. The CEO of Chick-fil-A wants us to shine the shoes of black people to repent for racism.
It's to the point. It's to the point where it's absurd. I told you yesterday. There's no racism in this country. There's racists, but there'll always be. It'll never stop. So when is this going to stop?
It's crazy.
This whole country is upside down.
Well, I would say that Dan Cathy from Chick-fil-A has something inside of him that he's dealing with, and he's projecting it onto other people.
Brian, I don't want to repeat it again.
I was a bus driver. I know you're a bus driver. I heard someone once say.
I didn't make millions of dollars. I was just an average Joe in the street, just trying to pay my bills.
Yeah.
I had no white privilege. I'm telling you, it's totally ridiculous. If I did something wrong, I would have ended up in jail. You want to know the truth? The police go into these neighborhoods that are infested with crime, because I've seen it, and they make. And by the way, they make heroes out of out of black thugs.
Well, wait a minute. White people have done that too. Wait a minute. Jesse James, Billy the Kid, right? We did the same thing, right? Right? Yeah, those are the original gangsters, right? Of the Old West heroes.
Scarface, all that other crap. But you got a guy that attacked two police officers. They got a. I go through this whole thing. He attacked two police officers. The guy ends up dead, and make a hero out of a guy that's got a rap sheet that's this long.
Yeah, and they got this. They got the other cop doing these hostage videos on TV with his lawyer and everything. That was very strange.
Yeah, I mean, the whole country's going crazy. I don't know what to do about it. We have to let it play out, I guess. But the mob is taking over the country. That's going to break down.
Don't be so sure that they're taking over the country. You know, when I was watching I watched a lot of these Black Lives Matter violent protests in Columbus, Ohio. You know, I was watching them yesterday, and they were recent, and they were pretty violent. I didn't see anybody out there breaking windows that was going to not already vote Democrat. They're not winning votes with that. They're losing votes with that.
Well, here's the deal. I'm not going to fall into the trap. Black lives don't matter. Everybody's lives matter.
All lives matter? Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know if I would say it quite that way, Richie. Jeez. He just stayed on the air just 5 seconds too long. He was doing all right, Richie, and then he said that was he's not a wordsmith, Richie the bus driver. But after all, he was just a bus driver, as he always tells you. Well, yeah. Okay, so John Bolton. There's a lot of talk, John Bolton. I saw some more clips. They've got some. I'm not gonna. We'll be talking probably on Monday about the John Bolton interview. I have no clips to play. John Bolton's a clown, but I did see some clips with Martha Raddatz, and he was talking about how the president's a fool and he's Putin's puppet and he's being manipulated by Putin, et cetera, and these other world leaders. This is what John Bolton does not get, okay? Trump lets people think. This is part of the Trump technique, okay? Has anyone ever read his book? Has anyone ever read that attacks President Trump? Have they ever read The Art of the Deal? Have they followed Donald Trump? Part of Donald Trump's tactic in any negotiation, whether it's a real estate deal or now international trade agreements or whatever it may be, is to let the person that he's dealing with think that they have won. But in the end, he gets everything he wants. I'll give you a perfect example on how he totally destroyed Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer on the funding for the wall. Right? Remember, they stood up, they're not going to fund that damn wall, and all this stuff, right? President Trump asked for 10 million. I sound like Austin Powers when he wanted $1 million. President Trump asked Congress for 10 to 12 billion with a B dollars for the wall, or some absurd amount, right? Billions and billions of dollars. It was double digits in the billions. And no. The elections have consequences, Mr. President. Remember all that crap with Schumer? And then in the end, they stick it to Trump. They stick it to him. They pass the bill, and it only has $3.2 billion in funding, and he wanted 12, and we're only going to give him 3.2. Do you remember this? Don't they get it? Trump only wanted probably $1 billion. He asks, Trump manipulated Pelosi and Schumer. They still are too stupid and arrogant to know how they were manipulated. He asked for 10 to 12 times what he wanted. They still give him 3 times what he wanted. He gets everything he wants, but lets those people think they won. It's a manipulation tactic of President Trump. The first time I saw Donald Trump do this, it was back when I was I don't know if I was in high school or middle school, and he did this hotel deal with Merv Griffin, and he just totally conned Merv Griffin into buying some junk property that he lost all this money, paid too much money for, and it was one of those NBC like 48 Hours or West 57th Street, one of those old magazine shows they used to do, did an entire hour on the deal between Merv Griffin and Donald Trump. After the deal was done and Merv Griffin had gotten screwed over, and, you know, he had all that money from Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, Merv Griffin, because he created those shows, and and Donald Trump just took all his money. And I watched this thing, and every step of the way, Merv Griffin thinks he's got the best of Trump. He got everything he wants. This guy, he's such an egomaniac. Boom, boom, boom. That's what Trump does. It's a manipulation tactic. So John Bolton, I'm surprised how stupid of a man John Bolton is. Putin probably does think he can manipulate Donald Trump because Trump lets him. They don't get it. Now, there's also a lot of talk with John Bolton. Why didn't he testify to Congress? And why did he save it for the book? He's greedy. He wants to make the money. Not at all. See, you can lie all day and all night in a book. It's not a crime. But if you testify to these things in Congress and you lie to Congress, all of a sudden it's perjury and you're going to go to jail. It's a crime to lie to Congress. It's not a crime to lie in a book. So that's why he didn't not testify to Congress because he was trying to make money in a book. He didn't want to perjure himself. So as opposed to perjuring himself, he did this. And I'll tell you, a good test of this would be Lindsey Graham and these other Republicans in the Senate get a copy of the book, bring Bolton to the Senate, swear him in under oath, and ask him about these things in the book. You're going to see a big turn of events if they did that, because he's not going to perjure himself. You know, that's my take on it. I don't know. And I was listening to John Roberts on Fox News Channel yesterday, who's read the book, and he says, we have already heard the bombshells from the book. What is that, 3 things? Putin thinks he's manipulating him. Oh, shocker. Shocker. I'm glad John Bolton, you know. By the way, go trim the damn mustache, John Bolton. What must it be like when John Bolton is eating with that mustache over his mouth? What is that all about? All right, listen. Let's take our break for the bottom of the hour. It is 7:30 in the morning. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. We'll be right back.
It's summertime, and that means backyard barbecues and hanging out by the pool. With Father's Day right around the corner, get Dad the gift all dads will love. A new grill from Ace Hardware Deerfield or Beach Ace Hardware in Lauderdale by the Sea. They are your grilling headquarters. They have an incredible selection on all the top brands like Weber and Traeger, and the best deals around on every type of grill there is. Gas grills, charcoal grills, portable grills, and more. Free assembly and delivery is available too. Ace Hardware Deerfield is just south of Hillsboro on the west side of US 1. Beach Ace Hardware is in Lauderdale by the Sea. Tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show. And happy Father's Day.
Ace is the place for the helpful hardware, folks.
Feeling old, tired, run down? Struggling with your sex life or weight control? Dr. Matez can fix it. Call the Boca Raton Center for Age Management at 561-953-5490 or visit their website at brc4am.com.
Any lab tests now
Right
at
back,
Bolton
guys.
and Coral Springs are the best labs to go to when you need quick and affordable lab work that's private and accurate. Don't go to those other labs where you have to wait hours just to be seen by an unfriendly lab tech. Everything at any lab test now at Boca and Coral Springs is first class. The labs are super clean. The techs highly skilled and professional. Plus their prices are the lowest you will find. Guaranteed. If your time is valuable, and I know it is, you cannot wait around to get your lab work. Any lab test now at Boca and Coral Springs are the places you need to go. You will be seen quickly with no appointment, no doctor's order or prescription necessary, in and out in 15 minutes or less, and they're always friendly and courteous. When you go to any lab test now at Boca and Coral Springs, you are putting your health care in your own hands. You are in control. They have lab tests. Any lab test now of Boca and Coral Springs have you covered. Any lab test now of Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza, where the Western Beef is, between Palmetto and Hillsboro, on the east side of State Road 7. Any lab test now of Coral Springs is on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood, near the Coral Square Mall. Call any lab test now of Boca at 561-237-5009. Any lab test now of Coral Springs, 954-906-5983. Any lab test now of Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WWE.
All right, welcome back, one and all. I am Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. Any lab test now of Boca, any lab test now of Coral Springs, open on Saturday. So you guys can go in there on Saturday, tomorrow, if you must. Good morning. You're on the radio.
Morning, Conservative Doug. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right, Doug. How are you?
Great. You know, this John Ball is really sick to me. That guy, it's so apparent, and the Democrats going to run with this like he's doing everybody a big favor. But I'm hoping Trump wins, at least on that one. He lost on that DACA because of that idiot.
Oh, he didn't lose in the Supreme Court yesterday. He didn't lose on DACA yesterday. No, he didn't lose on DACA yesterday. Tell me what happened with DACA. Trump didn't lose.
He can't.
Mm-hmm. So what happens next? What did everyone say has to be done next?
I haven't heard what they said, but I'm thinking that Congress had to do something.
Yes. Yes. No, Trump didn't lose. Okay, let me tell you what happened. I know everyone's saying Trump lost, but no, he did not lose. Trump won yesterday. Okay, here's what happened, okay? So what is the future of the Dreamers now? The DACA's the Dreamers. Right? What is their future now? Is their future set, their legal status? What is the current situation with the legal status of the Dreamers?
They can stay here without being deported.
No, that's not it at all. This you might have heard this yesterday. Their status is uncertain, right? Okay. So I'll tell you. I'm not going to dance around with you because you don't sound like you're very good with the pop quizzes. But that's okay. I want to tell you. Okay. I was gonna ask you the questions, but it doesn't sound like you got any answers. That's okay. No, you don't have the answers to these questions. That's okay. I'm being nice to you because you use all our sponsors and we have that great commercial with you with Friendly Tire. But here's the thing. Okay. When Trump first became president, do you remember he tried to work out a deal to have a permanent status for the Dreamers that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer rejected? He was trying to the Dreamers are the ones who they didn't jump the border illegally. They were brought here by their parents when they were aged 16 years or younger. And Trump proposed to Congress a permanent solution so that Dreamers would have permanent resident status. The Democrats rejected it. Okay, so now their status is uncertain again. And Trump's going to make a big deal about this. I heard Napolitano and all the rest. If I were Trump, I wouldn't go back to this. They don't understand. So the Democrats don't want Dreamers to have a permanent status. They want the Dreamers to always be afraid that they might be deported. And so they'll pass a resolution. So they got 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then the Democrats. So then it expires. Their future's uncertain, and then the Democrats got to come in with another resolution. So what happened yesterday is now that's going to start to become obvious to people that it's going to be the Democrats who make the decision not to give them a permanent status. And if we win back the House in November, the Republicans will give them a permanent status. So now what happened yesterday in the Supreme Court was not a defeat for Trump. It was a victory. But everyone is so filled with Trump hate, they don't get it. Oh, no. They're first off, they're not supposed to be voting. They're not U.S. citizens, okay? But they vote. They vote, right? We know they vote, but they're not supposed to. No. They want them to vote Democrat. The way they keep them voting Democrat, even though it's illegal votes, is because since they don't have a permanent status, you always have to vote Democrat. Because when the current resolution expires, you'll be deported unless you vote Democrat, and then we'll extend it another 3 years. Don't you see it's a game the Democrats are playing? They have the Dreamers living in constant fear that they're going to be deported unless they vote illegally for Democrats. No, I've gotten the absentees, and I'll tell you another thing too. By the way, thanks for the call. Okay, appreciate. I'll tell you another thing too is everyone's making a big deal that he lost John Roberts yesterday. John Roberts was compromised during Obamacare back in 2010. We talked about it at the time. John Roberts, when there's a big issue, votes with the Democrats, right? Obamacare, he voted with the Democrats. With this, he voted with the Democrats. They let him vote the right, like a conservative way on smaller things, so it doesn't look so obvious that he's been compromised by the Democrats. But they blackmailed him or bribed him back in 2010 when Obamacare was up. So that's the way that is. All right. Well, Steve's joining us. Welcome,
Good morning,
Steve.
everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
That's great. That's great. That's great. That's great. Now, I want to play this audio. I played this in the first hour. I want to play it again because this is the most bizarre thing I've heard. Okay, so the CEO of Chick-fil-A did something that he wants white people to repent for racism by shining the shoes of black people. And he was in a church. Now again, this is the CEO of Dan Cathy. He's
But just to
yeah.
mention, also part of that, the symbolism there is it's tied into Jesus washing the feet of the apostles before the Last Supper.
Yeah, but back in the days of Jesus, they didn't shine shoes, and there is one of the biggest.
No, washing the feet, shining the shoes.
No. No, he wasn't washing he wasn't washing the feet. I'll explain it as we get to this. He was very specific about the shoe shining, which is one of the textbook racial stereotypes of black men. Is the shoe shine boy, and boy being used to describe a man who's a shoe shiner. And Dan Cathy, okay, so this is in Atlanta. It's on Sunday, the day after the violence in Atlanta, after the Friday night shooting of Brooks at the Wendy's, okay? He's on stage with the preacher. He's in front of the church congregation, and there's a black Christian rapper named, I think his name is LaCroix, or is that the drink? I don't know. His name is Le something. You'll hear it in the audio. And Dan Cathy surprises the rapper by pulling out a shoe shine brush, and he goes and symbolically shines the sneakers of the rapper. So let me play this, and then we'll talk about how it's. Well, I'll tell you about it after. Let's play. This is Dan Cathy. Now Dan Cathy. For those that don't remember, he's the CEO of Chick-fil-A. He's the one about 10 years ago who said that the entire board of directors were married to our first wives, and then the gays said you're anti-gay marriage, and they started that whole thing. Okay, that was Dan Cathy. He's opened up another can of worms here. Dan Cathy in church on Sunday.
He shared with me about a revival that was taking place in a church in Texas. And at that revival in the front seat was an older African-American
He can't even say it. A black guy, okay? I mean, give me a break, Dan. He's so uncomfortable. He can't even, yeah.
He was an older African-American.
My daughter says they do have black people who work at Chick-fil-A. They just work at the kitchen usually. I go to Chick-fil-A and she's right away. You guys, you see white people serving you at Chick-fil-A?
Well, yeah, but we don't know
Come on.
where that is. No, I guess I can't think of the time.
Yeah, there's one right down the street. Go after the show. All right, back to this. Dan Cathy.
That revival in the front seat was an older African-American man that was sitting there. And this young man got up.
An idiot.
That was there in that service. And he'd been so gripped with conviction about that he took a shoe brush and he walked over to this elderly gentleman and he knelt on his knees and began to shine his shoes.
Okay, now slow down here. I don't know where you get a shoe brush these days. Is there a haberdashery around?
Oh yeah,
you still
go into the stores that repair shoes.
There's still stores that do that?
Yes.
I just throw mine away and buy new ones.
Well, everybody's not rich like you.
But what are you talking about? I buy $50 a shoe.
An absorbent cane show.
I guess so. No, so okay. So now, before we get to the rest of this, The foot washing thing I've seen in church. In Mass once a year, the priest washed the feet of parishioners.
You know what it's about, though.
Yeah, it's about Jesus washing the feet of
the apostles.
Yeah, that's not what Dan Cathy is doing. I'll play the rest of it. Dan Cathy is calling on white people to repent from the racism that is inside us as white people by shining the shoes of black people. So let me go rewind, and then we'll get to the rest of it. He takes out this shoe shine brush. He's going to go over to the rapper and shine his sneakers, symbolically, of course. And what the rapper asks for after is so typical. Listen.
Grip with conviction about the racism that was in that local community in a small town in Texas, that he took a shoe brush and he walked over to this elderly gentleman and he knelt on his knees and began to shine his shoes. And tears began to flow in that service. It was an attitude of conviction. So I invite folks just to put some words to action here.
Okay, now Dan Cathy has pulled out the shoe shine brush. He's putting his words to action.
And if we need to find somebody that needs to have the shoe shine, we need to just go right on over and shine their shoes.
Okay, so now he's and the rapper had no idea this was coming. You could tell. So Dan Cathy walks. Oh no, he's walking up to the rapper, getting on his knees. The rapper is there, caught by surprise.
And whether they got tennis shoes on or not, maybe they got sandals on, it really doesn't matter. But there's a time in which we need to have, some personal action here. Maybe we need to give him a hug too.
And some stock in Chick-fil-A.
Okay. So now this is the funny thing here. So the CEO of Chick-fil-A, he's just shined his shoes. He gave him a hug. He's apologizing for racism. And what does he do? He wants more. He wants free Chick-fil-A stock. Now, I know people are saying, oh, he's joking. It may sound like that, but yeah, I think he was doing a little bit more than joking. He doesn't say thank you or this is strange. He says, hey, how about some Chick-fil-A stock? So he's asking for reparations from Dan Cathy. Now, Dan Cathy, he's carrying the white man's burden, no doubt, but the burden isn't so heavy that he's going to even give him one share of stock. Go back a little bit, and then we'll see how this concludes.
Some personal action here. Maybe we need to give him a hug too.
And some stock in Chick-fil-A.
But
Yeah.
You're getting as bad as the liberals.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
For a joke to be funny, there always has to be a shred of truth to the joke, or it's not funny.
I give you that, but
Okay.
it was a joke.
So now Dan Cathy tells the parishioners in this humiliating exercise of white liberal guilt here, something that he did and something he sent to 1,500 Chick-fil-A franchise owners nationwide. Listen to what he did, this guy.
Some stock in Chick-fil-A.
But I bought about 1,500 of these, and I gave them to all our Chick-fil-A operators and staff a number of years ago.
So he's given all the Chick-fil-A franchise owners shoe shine brushes to encourage them to shine the shoes of black customers as they come in.
Of a contrite heart, of a sense of humility, a sense of shame, a sense of embarrassment.
For being white.
He's
Oh, wow.
He's tearing up again.
What a strange man who's obviously got some demons inside of him that he's projecting on the rest of us.
The actual biblical context is how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings to good things.
But that's not what he's doing. This is to cleanse yourself of the sin of racism that is inherent in all white people. This is much different. This is something else. It's not that. I know it's
above and beyond. It's reinforcing.
Yeah. Well, when you're in line and you're being helped by the white guy and the white girl at Chick-fil-A, just ask them to show you when you get to the drive-thru if they got that shoe shine brush back there. All right, listen, if you're on hold, stand by. We're going to take our last break of the second hour. There's a lot of people on hold. Our number, toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE1. It's Kane and the number 1, 888-465-1272. 2631.
And we will be sticking with the open phones for the rest of this Friday.
Yeah.
So you have an hour to get everything off your chest.
Oh, yeah.
So you can start the weekend fresh. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Will return after these words.
It's summertime, and that means backyard barbecues and hanging out by the
Steve
pool.
Kane Show.
Father's Day right around the corner. Get Dad the gift.
Hey,
all
hold on.
dads will
Steve
love.
Kane
A
Show.
new grill from Ace Hardware Deerfield or Beach Ace
Hey, hold
Hardware
on.
in Lauderdale by the
Okay,
Sea.
Dr. Matez.
He needs to get his thing.
I texted it to you. It's on your phone. I don't know if it'll work downstairs.
No, I mean, I'll probably just stay up here.
It'll work if you're in the lobby.
Yeah, I'll probably just stay
Is
over here.
available too. Ace Hardware Deerfield is just south of Hillsborough on the west side of US 1. Beach Ace Hardware is in Lauderdale by the Sea.
BBC is the Wi-Fi.
Show. And happy Father's Day.
BBC is what?
That's the name of the Wi-Fi network. And then there's a bunch of numbers. You see it there? I texted it this morning. You know what? Go ask the guy on the other side, Rich. He'll give it to you. All right, welcome back. Oh, man. All right. Oh, look who we have on the line, Steve. Perfect for the weekend. Dr. Mitch Matez.
The one and only Dr. Mitch. How are you doing today? I'm doing real good as we're coming down the home stretch of this week.
Oh, yeah.
You sure do.
So how is the world of anti-aging medicine going this week, Dr. Matez? Well, what you call, you've got the medical term for this problem that women suffer from. I've heard you use it before. The medical term, I think it's called, what is it, the sneeze peas, you call it? Yeah. No, but you know, that's a common thing that I've seen women do over the years. As I don't know what necessarily calls. I know that's what you're talking about with the no pee shot, but it's not no pee as in the slang for urination. But a lot of women have this problem with urination and have this embarrassing thing where they have to buy these adult kind of diaper things, and this does away with the need for that.
There you go. All right. I'm corrected. I'm correct that there is no charge for the consultation concerning this procedure. Correct? Boy,
That's awesome.
Can't beat that. Can't beat that.
That's awesome. Well, listen, Dr. Matez's number is 561-953-5490. 561-953-5490. And online, hormonetherapybocaratone.com. All right, Dr. Matez, we will talk next week. All right, take care.
You too, Mitch.
Dr.
Okay,
Matez.
Dr.
All right, good morning.
Dr. M.
You're on the radio.
Good.
I got regarding that story that you just were talking about, I think this entire situation, just beginning with the protests, the riots, the looting, now the reparations, I think for me personally, you don't correct a wrong by doing wrong. In other words, it looks unfavorably that African Americans used to shine shoes.
It's one of the biggest stereotypes there is. Yeah, it's one of the biggest ones. Okay, well here's the thing. I don't know too much about Dan Cathy. I do like the spicy chicken sandwiches over there at Chick-fil-A. They are spectacular. That's what I always order: spicy chicken sandwich, no pickles, and they have very good milkshakes. And they have the lemonade over there is spectacular. They should be running ads with us, but since we're talking about Dan Cathy this way, I don't know. He may not want to. But here's the thing with Dan Cathy. Dan Cathy has some guilt inside of him. One is his wealth. He didn't start the company. He didn't build, the company. He inherited the company, and he's white and he's Southern. So, he's got a lot of guilt over the wealth that he didn't earn, and that's what's going on with this guy.
With feelings of unworthiness.
Yeah. That's right. Well, they've lost about 10 or 12 of them. There have been some that have been hit in the looting. But Chick-fil-A, over the past year or two, I'm not going to go down the list right now because I'm a little vague on it. And I don't want to say something that's inaccurate. You guys can look this up. There's been several things that Chick-fil-A has gotten involved in that are very liberal and counter to the Christian nature of the history of Chick-fil-A. And I'm starting to question this being closed on Sunday. It's probably a big tax write-off. I go to the mall on Sunday, Chick-fil-A's closed. That's the busiest day, and they're closed. Sounds like a day of losses every day of the week to me, doesn't it to you? Really? Okay, let me say something different. Let me use another term. Okay? What does this term mean? Never forget.
No.
No, come on.
Come on, are you kidding?
Well, it's specific to the Holocaust. It's specific to the Holocaust, and specifically. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about those 6 million Jews, but. Okay, so Black Lives Matter, when it was originated, it was more of an organic thing that rose up after one of these incidents. I don't even remember which one now. And the Democrats grabbed onto it and have manipulated it, okay, and turned it into something else.
I don't, this is technical, but I think you're wrong on that. I think what happened is it started back with that cop who got killed.
I can't remember which one. Which cop?
There's been so many. I'm trying to remember which cop. But anyway, he got killed in the course of it was in the Midwest. Come on, you got this.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Anyway,
they say, okay, I just looked it up online, and this may or may not be accurate. I just Googled this. They said Black Lives Matter began as a hashtag on social media after the acquittal of George Zimmerman in the Trayvon Martin trial. That is very possible. That is very possible. Okay? And by the way, George Zimmerman should be in prison. He should be in prison. But they overcharged him like they're doing with these cops, and they got an acquittal. That's what happens when you charge people with crimes you can't, premeditated murder.
It's true, nobody thinks about that, but this is almost a gift.
Long term, yeah.
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 Because they're never going to get a conviction on
first degree, never. So Black Lives Matter. I know Zimmerman and Trayvon is a controversial thing that divides people, but George Zimmerman stalked a kid and killed him, and he should be in prison for it. And it started because of that acquittal. And I think at the beginning it had a good thing to it, and then it got hijacked by the left to become a Democrat vote-getting operation, and it's been perverted into other things.
They took the title and they expanded on
the theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've twisted it.
But it was ingenious because it's one of those things that you can't be against.
Yeah.
Who's going to say no? Black lives don't matter.
I think Richie has said that. He's today. I think he said the bus driver. Yeah, he did say that today. Yeah. Okay, let me tell you, okay, I'm reluctant to bring this up, but we only have 90 seconds till the top of the hour, okay, because I don't want to re-debate the Trayvon Martin thing. That was a dark time on this show, the Trayvon Martin thing, because there were things going on in my life and Steve's life on top of this, and it was a bad time, okay? But I'll, on the show, which I'll mention later maybe if anybody cares.
We'll definitely do that after the time.
I'll tell you right now, it was a bad time for me because your marriage was falling apart and my dad was dying. And so and my dad had a massive stroke the same day that Lori walked out of the house, Steve. And it was a bad time for us both.
More than just a coincidence.
And then I had this drunken idiot calling me all the time that hated Trayvon Martin. But the thing about Black Lives Matter and Zimmerman, here's why that was an issue and the Black Lives Matter started up. When this issue, when Zimmerman killed Trayvon, people heard Zimmerman, they thought white guy, concealed carry permit holder, was a threat to concealed carry. He was not arrested, he was not charged until Al Sharpton a month or two later had a rally, had an event, a protest in Sanford, Florida, okay? And Al Sharpton, the only decent thing he's done in his life is get George Zimmerman arrested, but he's such a polarizing figure, okay, that he caused a racial division over this issue, but that Black Lives Matter was born out of. A guy, this punk Zimmerman, shoots and kills a 17-year-old unarmed kid in his own neighborhood, and he's not even charged. He's allowed to go home that night. He wasn't a cop. He was just a regular fat guy with a concealed weapon permit, and that pissed people off. And when he was acquitted, so I think in the beginning, Black Lives Matter in the beginning was a very good thing. It's just been perverted by a bunch of political people that are using it to,
I got a question to ask you to answer. Hold on, sir. I got a question to ask you, Brian.
After the break. All right. Hey, caller, we got to run. Do you have a final word since we talked over you, but it's got to be quick?
Say I love you guys. Keep up the awesome work. I listen every day.
Well, thank you.
God
Thank
bless,
you.
my friend. We'll be back right after this.
5.3 FM, 96.9 FM.
Oh, did you hear the commercial for the car place?
1470.
Steve?
WWNN.
Did you hear the car commercial?
The Florida Money Talk
The auto shop commercial?
You want to do it?
Listen.
Brian Craig here. When it comes to auto repair, you want a garage
I got one right
you
there.
can trust. Someone that will only do work on your car when your car needs work. Introducing Champagne Automotive in Boca Raton, the latest sponsor of the Steve Kane Radio Show. Tom called in on the radio to tell us about his experience with Champagne Automotive.
Hi, this is Tom from Tamarack.
Hey, Tom from Tamarack, what's up?
I just want to tell you guys something.
I got to play another spot. We got to come back. So we can do it later in the show.
I was leaving the house yesterday to go try another place that had a lower price. They wanted $800 for brakes. And that advertisement came on for Champagne. I live in Western Tamarack. They said, let me take a drive up there. Well, I was almost blown over how friendly, honest, old school these people are.
Old school, that's really the term that really describes it.
But let me tell you, the guy I had gone to previously wanted $800. He said, well, you need to take your power steering fluid, and Ed, the owner, put the car up on the lift, pulled the wheels, because you don't need brakes. And I about fell over.
Wow, well, tell me the end of the story. You got me hooked.
So it wasn't that your vehicle was misdiagnosed at the other place. You were dealing with a crook.
Oh, absolutely. This guy wanted to sell me everything but a washing machine. I don't want that.
Now, this is our new sponsor. We have wanted for a long time to have an auto repair shop. When it comes to auto repair, that is the most difficult category for us to find as an advertiser because most are like this guy you were dealing with the other day over in Tamarack. They're crooks. And we found Champagne Automotive. Ed, who's the owner, is a listener of the program. They come very, very highly recommended. So I appreciate you calling in and telling us the good story. Now, Champagne Automotive, they're in Boca off Spanish River Boulevard, immediately west of Dixie Highway. The number is 561-245-8101. 561-245-8101.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
Steve Kane Show.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free, dial 1-888-GO-CANE.
We'll go back to the phones.
One. That's
Wait.
1-888-GO-CANE 1. And now, here's...
I am so excited about Champagne Automotive. We're going to get my
Oh,
car
yeah.
back. It's going to be spectacular. I got to tell you, this place is so clean, so immaculate. You can literally eat off the floor. The old proverb, you know. It's true, Champagne Automotive.
Oh, it is. In fact, if you go to SteveKaneShow.com, I put a couple pictures up of the shop, and I have never seen an auto repair shop. It looks like you could do surgery in there.
Little by little, we try to fill all these categories. So we need a whole bunch of hurricane-type sponsors because
we do.
We somehow
Indeed.
didn't prepare for hurricane season.
Yeah, it happens. Listen, let's go back to the phones. Our number 888-GO-CANE 1 888-465-2631. Oh my goodness, only 55 minutes to go, so we got to be quick.
Time flies when you're listening to the Steve Kane and Brian Craig.
Oh yeah, you're on the radio. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, Larry. Steve Kane Show. No. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, they are all Democrats.
And I'm sure she pointed that out in the course of the ceremony.
Well, obviously you weren't listening earlier because I talked about this extensively, but I will not take it personally. I won't take it personally. This is what I want to repeat to you what I said earlier because this is more than just a punchline and a joke of what's going on here. The Democrat Party are very well aware that they've lost huge chunks of the blank vote because of the rise of Trump and with the help of great people like Candace Owens with Blexit, okay, and the walk away movement and all these things. And they got together in their circle and they said, why are we losing black people? And someone raised their hand and said, well, Madam Speaker, I like calling her Madam Speaker because when I think of Madam, I think of a brothel. And when I think of the Democrat House of Representatives, I think of a brothel, a whorehouse. So they said, Madam Speaker, you know, black people, they're learning that we were the slaveholders in the party of the Confederacy and that the segregationist laws and the Klan all by Democrat. So what they're doing isn't a short-term thing for the November election to screw Trump. They're hoping it will. What they're trying to do long-term is wipe out their own racist history so that 20 years from now, no one will know that they were the party of Jim Crow, the Klan, and the Confederacy, et cetera, et cetera. That's why they're doing this. And I'll tell you a quick thing about Nancy Pelosi with those things yesterday. She's got these suck-up people in the media. There is a photograph of Nancy Pelosi when she was about 20 years old with President Kennedy while he was president, okay? And she wasn't bad looking then, but it's black and white and everybody looks good when they're 20. But, except Hillary Clinton when she was 20, or Chelsea Clinton when she was 20. But anyway, you know, his vice president, Lyndon Johnson, go on YouTube, everyone. Watch all of the film footage of the day that President Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas. And you see the people on the streets. Every person has two flags. In one hand, the American flag. In the other hand, you see the Confederate flag. So Nancy Pelosi was associating with a man, President Kennedy, who chose a man from Texas whose supporters were waving Confederate flags. So if we're changing the name of everything and taking everything down, certainly we must change the name of the Democrat Party too.
Makes sense to me.
And maybe she has to take herself down from that wall since she's associated with segregationists through Lyndon Johnson. Yeah, I don't know.
Stuff that there's in Atlanta. I think they're doing that also on purpose. One reason could be because they obviously want to convict on the lesser charge. But the other is to nullify the jury, and they would have to move it to another venue.
That's this is what's going on here. Do you listen to the Steve Kane Show? You miss everything. You see, okay. So I want to recap what I talked about yesterday.
He listens at the important times.
I guess, but he's missing everything. He's missing everything. No, listen. This is what's going on. Okay, the district attorney is he's more corrupt than Joe Biden. And the reason I say he's more corrupt than Joe Biden is because Joe Biden, who is not in control of his mind, doesn't even understand what he's doing all the time. This guy's coherent. The district attorney has 3 things going against him right now. 1, there's a sexual harassment investigation going on against him. Number 2, there's some financial irregularity going on with him where he funneled 6 figures to himself that didn't belong to himself, supposedly. 3rd, he just lost his election. His primary is going to a runoff. He lost this election about a week and a half ago. So he is lynching these police officers with these charges to try to save himself in this recall and dare anyone to come after him on these scandals that he's involved in. But if you listen to the show, you would know all this. And you'd be well armed and well prepared.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thanks for your call. Keep listening.
Just not to the whole show. 3 hours a day we're on. Now, I've got 2 more pieces of audio. I'll play the one with Don Jr. in a minute. Let me play this one and get this one out of the way. I wasn't even going to play this audio because it seems so ridiculous, but it's made international news. Okay, Wellington, which is within our listening area. We have a lot of people that listen in Wellington. Wellington is a town out west in northern Palm Beach County. It's due west of Lake Worth, Wellington. There's a story in the, let me pull up the story so you can get an idea. I was not going to share this, but I saw it in the Daily Mail, and now everything is viewed as racism sometimes when you're really oftentimes just dealing with a jerk. And let me find the story here. There's a white guy had a confrontation with a black teenager, and it's being called racial. And how do they care? Okay, so this happened in Wellington. This is in the Daily Mail out of the UK. This is the headline. White man threatens black teen girl in Florida gated community. Now, technically that is true, but it is not in the context of what it is. It's not in a racial context, okay, what happened here. This girl and her friends were riding a golf cart recklessly through the community. They're 15-year-old girls. This white guy, who's a jerk.
Does she live in the community?
Her grandfather does. The guy didn't know, but she was driving. No matter what, if you live there, you can't drive recklessly. Anyway, this guy did something that he shouldn't have done. He got into an argument with these 15-year-old girls, and they recorded it. Now, what he's doing is not, I'm going to play the audio, a little bit of it, and not everything that happens is racial. White people, we run into people that are jerks all the time, too. We just don't play the race card. We just say, oh, that guy's an, thing. But here's the exchange. White man threatens black teen in gated community in Florida. This is an international story. Here it is.
I really don't care.
Okay.
Because you don't belong in this development.
Okay, now...
You don't belong in this what?
Development. Now, the way this is being... I'm not defending this guy. These are children, and he had no business getting involved in any discussion with them. But the way this is being promoted, you don't belong because you're black is how it's being promoted. No, this guy's just a jerk, and he just didn't recognize them, and they're driving recklessly.
Belong in this development.
Yeah, okay.
What's your name?
Liv. I'm not telling you.
We live here. I live here. Okay, where do you live?
Why would we tell you any of this?
Where do you live?
I'm not telling you.
Where do you live?
I'm not telling you.
Okay, not a problem. I'm gonna call the gate and have you all arrested.
Okay.
You do not deserve to be in here.
Okay.
What did we even do wrong? Seriously? I have to wait for that 5 minutes while they're screwing around the road.
No. We were backing up for you.
Oh. This guy.
No problem, because I can get my grandfather.
Bring him out right now.
The grandfather.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is because you're driving illegally.
Okay, but you're coming out of 15-year-olds. So you're gonna hit us with the car.
Because you're 15 years old, you could marry in Mississippi or out.
This guy.
It's Florida.
Okay.
Sure.
So you're gonna get us in the car.
Don't stick your head out. Did you threaten the child? I did not.
I have it on video. You just
This is the grandfather.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Go inside. Let me see the video.
Okay, and that's the end of the video. They stopped filming there. Their grandfather came out, who's black, and got in and then the video stops. Okay, there's a thing that's going on these days. This guy's a jerk, and he had no business. If he had a problem, he called the gate, let security handle it. You don't get into an argument with children. He's was out of line, there's no doubt about it. He didn't recognize them. They were driving the golf cart recklessly through the streets in front of cars and things like this, so he says. He didn't say you don't belong here because you're black. He didn't recognize them. I don't think they really live there. I think they're visiting Grandpa, so he would have seen them. And they're driving around recklessly, and he was a jerk and started yelling at them. What happens in society today, these teenage girls took the video, posted it online. Now it's an international story from Europe all the way here.
Now she's a star.
And this guy here is being portrayed as a Ku Klux Klansman. Now, he's a jerk and inappropriate. He had no business doing what he was doing. But I don't think race was much of a component here at all. I don't even know if all three girls were black. I think one might have been. I don't know. And what they do now is they destroy people's lives with these viral videos. And there was a story earlier this week. A woman and her husband are walking down the sidewalk, and a man who's Asian was spray painting on the sidewalk, Black Lives Matter. And they stopped, and they told him to stop, that he was breaking the law. He took out his phone and started filming them. This was earlier this week. They said, you can't spray paint that on the sidewalk. You're defacing property. We're going to call the police, et cetera, et cetera. He's like, you say I don't live here? You say I don't live here? They're like, yes, you don't live here. And he's Asian, not black, and he was spray painting Black Lives Matter. But you know what? In my community, and I think most communities, I own the house, but I don't own the sidewalk. The sidewalk in the swale area usually are public. You just can't do this stuff, But anyway, he videotaped it and put it on social media like these girls did with that guy. The husband has been fired from his job, and the woman has had to shut down her business. And there's this public shaming thing that goes on now where people, they get in an argument with someone, they take out their phone and film it and put it on. Remember the woman in Central Park a few weeks ago? She got into an argument with a black guy over her dog being on a leash. She lost her job. She worked at an investment firm. They fired her, and animal control took her dog away. There's this whole new thing now with these viral videos, and what you have is you have a generation of young people, like these girls and people in their 20s, that go around starting arguments with people, or if one happens to happen, they escalate it so they can get a viral video going. So my advice to you is this. No matter how angry you get, don't argue with anyone in public. You never know when you could be the next. This guy here in this Wellington community, this story is national news. It's international news. It's going to be on television all over the place today. It's all over Twitter. He's probably going to be forced out of the community. I haven't seen him identified yet, but it's only a matter of time. And if he's got a job and is not retired, I mean, he's screwed. This is a new thing that's going on, and it's really bad news.
Isn't it great to be in America?
I know. All right, now, when we get back, Don Jr. interviewed the president last night on his podcast, and it was the biggest piece, and this is not hype. I played this in the first hour, so if you were listening in the first hour, you heard this, and you'll agree. This interview with Don Jr. last night of his father for Father's Day had the biggest election breaking news out of any interview with anyone. I don't care what John Bolton says this weekend or anybody else. This is not hype. You'll hear it after the break. Don Jr. brought up something that I have never heard that is huge news involving Joe Biden, and it's nowhere on television today. This interview was getting coverage. They're talking about another question he asked. He says, come on, Dad, are there aliens at Area 51? And the president did not deny that. He says there were some interesting things there that I'm not going to reveal to you at Area 51. And that's being talked about. That was a joke. This, although he didn't deny it, so maybe there are, this clip that I'm going to play after the break should be the top story in every political program on television, radio, podcast, everywhere throughout America today. And you're going to hear it after the break. We'll be right back.
5.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
It's summertime, and that means backyard barbecues and hanging out by the pool. Wednesday, right around the corner. Get down to get all dads will love. A new grill from Ace Hardware Deerfield or Beaches Hardware in Lauderdale by the Sea. They are your grilling headquarters. They have an incredible selection on all the top brands.
I had to hand write that invoice on letterhead because my printer's out of ink. I just didn't get it.
Gas grills, charcoal grills, portable grills, and more.
But let's make sure I wrote it right. I got another one. I got to make sure I got the right number on there.
Is just south of Hillsborough on the west side of
You know, I just want to double check. Yeah, it's July.
And happy Father's Day.
The first is how? When next week?
The stated purpose of pandemic mitigation was to flatten the curve so the
first
healthcare system would not be overwhelmed.
Is a week
That goal was achieved.
from Wednesday.
The scaremongers
2 weeks from yesterday.
everyone
Or 2
thinks
weeks from
the
when.
goal is
The
low
first is almost 2 weeks
cases.
away.
That is not the goal. In fact, it is impossible. Newsflash.
A week from Wednesday next week is the
Develop
first.
herd immunity. Immunity develops from exposure to the virus. And there is very little reason.
I'm going to have this guy come in next
The
week.
mortality rate is 0.2%, and if you exclude the very old, 80 and above, the risk is the same as that
Towards the end of the
while driving to
show.
work. And the majority of test positive persons have no symptoms. Cases does not equal death. Open the restaurants. Only the vulnerable should be wearing masks. This is Christian Knuckles.
Steve Kane Show.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on
Hey.
iHeartRadio. Just search for WWNN.
Oh, man. I got all my wires tangled up here. Oh, my goodness.
What happened there?
I've got my headphone wires tangled up with the phone wires. Okay, there we go. It's time. Very exciting time. It's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel. Barry, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Brian?
We're doing well over here.
How are things at the Siegel Law Group? Well, look, that is great, and again, with all our fine Steve Kane sponsors, the consult on this is at no charge. Get yourself straightened out. If you haven't had your papers reviewed, and you haven't made your plans, you can't do it too soon. Just you pick up the phone and call Barry.
Yeah, Barry's number, by the way, is toll-free.
1-855
FLA 37.
3782.
That's right.
I like the way that sounds. Let's try that again.
I don't know if anybody can hear it that way. You want to do it in chorus? I don't know. No, it's 855 FLA
3782.
That's correct. Yes. That's the way it is. And online, SiegelLawGroup.com.
Not on our sponsor page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're ready.
All right, Barry. Have a great weekend. We'll talk next week.
Have a great time.
All right, take it. All right, so Don Jr. has this podcast called Triggered, which is the name of his book, Triggered. And he interviewed...
That's Roger's horse, I thought.
That's Trigger. Trigger was the horse. Triggered is the Don Jr. book and podcast. So he did a Father's Day episode, and he interviewed the president. And it aired last night. And it was a pretty good interview, I tell you. And there was a bit of news that came out of this interview that I have never heard before. Some new... I'm going to play you the audio. This is Don Jr. interviewing his father. And, Steve, stick with me. You want to hear that? You know, this interview, there was some new information that was recently declassified from the Osama bin Laden raid. Okay? And as crazy as this sounds, it is true. And this was last night, Don Jr. interviewing the president.
Documents that were taken in the Osama bin Laden raid, the raid that killed Osama bin Laden with our friend Rob O'Neill. They finally declassified them. And in there were paperwork from Osama bin Laden saying that he wanted to Joe Biden in charge, and essentially he's so grossly incompetent it would lead to the destruction of America.
Did he say that?
Yeah, it was in the documents.
He said that in those words?
Well, listen. Let me play it again. Listen.
I found this sort of ironic. Documents that were taken in the Osama bin Laden raid, and the raid that killed Osama bin Laden with our friend Rob O'Neill. They declassified them. And in there were paperwork. It would put Joe Biden in charge. And it would lead to the destruction of basically,
Listen.
got the posthumous Osama bin Laden endorsement.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? So, and that was before Joe Biden was as far gone as he is today. So this next bit, this is an official campaign commercial from the Trump campaign. They actually made a commercial with this revelation, and here it is.
Under President Trump, America has become safer and stronger, with endorsements from countless veterans and first responders. Joe Biden received endorsement by Osama bin Laden after our brave warriors took him out, which Joe Biden was against doing.
What the reporting was accurate when I said I didn't say go. And I didn't.
Bin Laden wrote his plan to attack Obama to make Joe Biden president, thinking that would be enough of a U.S. disaster in and of itself, expressing Biden was totally unprepared for that post.
That's Bin Laden. Wow, I mean that's.
Is this running it?
Yes, they are. I don't know where they're running online, but it's running, and that was huge news out of that interview last night. And that interview is being talked about today in the news, but they're talking about the aliens at Area 51 portion, not that portion. You know, and I just, it's amazing, isn't it?
But now that we're getting back into stride, and
Steve Kane Show.
Donald's going to start addressing the public again.
Steve Kane Show.
He can make these points. So fortunately, we're not dependent upon the...
No, we're going to get the liberal response. So
what is the liberal response?
We'll find out right now. Liberal Al.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what's your response to that? My goodness.
You happy? Are you glad he got that endorsement from Osama?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're back now, and answer my question, because I'm not going to let you change the subject by asking another question.
We're on today.
We're on today's time.
This is today's topic, not yesterday.
Come on, Al, that's pathetic.
Oh no, this is great. Wait a minute. Oh, this is awesome. It's Father's Day. I'm a father. Steve's a father. You're single.
Are you?
Yeah, man.
You're a patron.
Yeah.
You're a patron of the what should we say? The patron of the ladies of the night.
Yeah. Okay. Now listen. You said be a man. So on this Father's Day edition of the Steve Kane Show, please tell me and Steve Kane how to be a man.
And if it's real good, we'll save the tape and play it.
Or maybe we'll model our life after your recommendation.
Exactly
So
right.
how do you be? Tell us how to be a man, Al.
I mean, if Osama bin Laden, he had all the trouble we had with Osama bin Laden, we had one bad. Osama had one bad night, and that's the night he let his guard down.
Yeah.
And we got in there and we took him out. Other than that, I mean, he obviously understands American politics well. He understands the way for this country to fall is to put Biden in as the president.
Yeah. So how does someone be a man? Tell us how to be men, Al.
Well, Garrett Rupp paid the victim twice. When he was running away.
Oh, he's talking about the Atlanta shoot.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. That was yesterday's show.
Are you not able?
Show.
Are you not able to talk about issues on the fly here? You have to be on topic of what you prepared for yesterday.
You're giving the audience the feeling you have no answer.
Well, let me tell you this time when the call hangs up, it'll be clear who did it. It's going to be me. It's going to be real quick unless you get more. You said be a man. So I want to learn on Father's Day how I could be a man to my child, and I want you to tell me how. If you're on mute, how can people hear you say you're on mute? If you can't hear me, how can you respond to what I just said that you couldn't hear?
Just hang up. You look like a fool.
All right, take care, Al.
Like
I'm hanging up on you.
Yes.
There's no controversy about that. Oh, my goodness. I want everybody to know I hung up.
Question about the shirt you're wearing?
Star Wars, yeah. No, it's not Lent, it's stars, Steve. Yeah, asked me that last time I wore it. Those are stars, not
I
Lent.
asked you that before?
Last time yeah.
It's a jet black shirt.
Those are stars.
I mean, that fits in with the theme of the show because we're talking about black. It's a black T-shirt.
It says Star Wars on it.
Star Wars logo.
And these are stars.
And little dandruff.
No, those are stars. Like on your shirt, that's Lent. Right there on your left breast. Yeah, these are stars, not Lent.
Well, okay.
I'll show you. It's stars. Those are stars. It's not Lent. See, I can brush it off and it's still there. Those are stars.
Amazing.
You know, the thing, I've had this shirt for years, but at the old place, we weren't in the same room. So you didn't see a lot of my clothes up close.
Wasn't able to get the full effect.
All the years we worked together, we always had glass between us, and now we're in the same room. In the same room.
Yes.
But we're still social. You know, I was watching, you know, it's so weird watching these liberals. Okay, I was watching the local news in Columbus, Ohio yesterday, watching Black Lives Matter tear down the statue of Christopher Columbus. They got this Democrat mayor, and I was watching the anchors on the local news up there, and I couldn't figure out why they were sitting this way. They were sitting at the anchor desk on a profile where they had to one had to look to the right, the other one had to look to the left to beat the camera. And I said to my wife, I said, this is so strange in Columbus, Ohio. Why are they sitting on a profile to the camera, the anchors? And it's not very complimentary because these anchors were pretty obese. And my wife, it's social distancing. They're social distancing. Well, you know, they could move the camera so so they don't have to sit sideways and have their head on an angle every day. It's very strange, very strange. But anyway, we got to take our break for the bottom of the hour. We will be back right after this.
Stop paying an outrageous fortune for your tires. Go easy on your budget and buy your tires at Friendly Tire in Margate, where they have all the major brands like Goodyear and Firestone at discount prices.
He's like Biden.
He used to be able to play a little bit.
He's like Biden.
Shops $175 a tire. At Friendly Tire, just $75
insulting
a
how
tire.
he
That's a $100 savings per
underestimates
tire.
us. Like
Tires
we're
for
going
my
to
daughter Emily's car,
change the question
at the shops
to one
around
from
town.
yesterday's
Price at
show.
Friendly Tire, only $65.
Without
That's
calling
a
him on
$70
it?
savings per tire. These prices are out the door and on the road. Free mounting and balancing and no added charges. Friendly Tire have a great selection of good used tires too, starting at just $30 for most cars. Call my good buddy Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. Tell him what you drive and he will give you a great price.
Richard Pearl.
977-9445. 954-977-9445. Online, friendlytire.net.
The Steve Show is brought to you by Attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Prepare for a will. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for Doug.
And here he is once again, a man who is one of the leaders in the natural food business, man who has no peer when it comes to extensive knowledge about how to get healthy and how to stay healthy. Of course, I'm talking about no one other than Mr. Richard Pearl. Richard, how are you? Wow. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. When I'm in I'll share with you from my therapy, Dr. Janae is always trying to get me to turn off the television. I've got this addiction to Fox, and it's very, very difficult. It's really like a physical addiction. And we're working on it very hard, but your point is well taken. If you're going to be at the store this weekend? Well, that's the key to good talk radio. You're a talk radio.
Yeah, but that's supposed to be the news. It's not talk radio. It's supposed to be news. It's not the Fox talk station. It's the Fox news station.
But not the way it's programmed. That's not true.
Well, that's why it's fake news.
Anyway, Richard, tell them where you are and how to get you. All right. You too, Richard, and we will speak with you on Monday. All right, we're back.
Yeah. Now listen. This is in the Daily Mail. Trump campaign turns rally in Tulsa into day-long MAGA festival by flying in Kimberly Guilfoyle, who's dating Don Jr., Diamond and Silk, and dozens of other speakers, despite warning that the event will spread coronavirus. Trump holds his first campaign since the coronavirus hit in Tulsa Saturday, that's tomorrow, comes despite concerns of potential coronavirus spread at large indoor arena. The Tulsa Health Department's director warned anyone attending Saturday's events faces an increased risk of contracting corona. Dr. Fauci says he would not attend since he's at high risk. Yeah, high risk of being booed.
That's enough to make you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, high risk of being booed for shutting down the economy. Kimberly Guilfoyle was leading more than 50 Trump surrogates. Set to come are Diamond and Silk, Herman Cain, and My Pillow founder and sponsor of the Steve Kane Show, Mike Lindell.
All right.
He'll be representing us there. The Trump campaign said temperature checks will be done, hand sanitizer will be provided, and masks would be handed out to those attending the rally. The arena holds 19,000.
Well, Donald certainly is a man who believes in rolling the dice. I mean,
who's rolling the dice?
Because this has the potential to work against him.
Well, you know what?
Look, let's put it this way: he's holding the rally. He's disregarding all the opposition to his decision.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is, you don't really know if there's going to be a big flare-up. If there were to be a big flare-up, it has the potential of not being good for him and giving ammunition to his opponents.
Yeah.
But what I think is that he knows more than I know. I've learned never to second guess Donald Trump.
That's right. He's always right.
So I am going to support what he's doing 100% and assume it'll work out in a positive way. And we'll get back next week. We'll see if I'm right.
So far as people attending the rally, the liberals have a phrase that they've been using since 1973. My body, my choice. Medical decisions are between an individual and their physician. So I don't know why the liberals are telling all these people what to do about their medical decisions of going or not.
You know, why are they doing?
I'm being sarcastic, Steve. They don't want a Trump rally, and because their guy can't put together 20 people in a room, and on top of that, they're hoping for the worst so that
they're
they can.
Afraid of him. They know he's going to once he starts. You see, what he's been over the past month or two, he's been a sleeping giant since this virus thing started.
Well, Biden's just been asleep. There's some video of Biden that came out this morning. I can't play it for you because it's video. He's at a table, looks like an autograph table. A girl's coming up to him, and you see him with his cell phone. He doesn't even know what it is. I mean, it's really bad.
He doesn't know what his cell phone is?
Not the one in his hand. It's sad. I mean, I don't want to make fun of somebody suffering like that. His family, it's elder abuse.
You know, you recall, I have a bet that Mr. Biden will not win the nomination. I got 3-1.
You know, you're gonna find out quick. August.
I've got the field against Biden.
Yeah. I mean, and nobody wants to be his running mate. They can't even find somebody to take the.
Oh, please.
They're talking about a lady police chief from somewhere in Central Florida. That's weak. That's weak.
Exactly what he's going to.
That's not even the second team. That's like not even the minor leagues. That's like taking somebody from student council somewhere.
Well, if you're going to roll him, you might as well roll him.
They can't find anybody who wants to associate with him and take it. Klobuchar just withdrew her name.
Well, that's because she knew that they were moving in the black direction.
Whatever. There's nobody wants to take it. That is a credible candidate that thinks they have a political future.
Any of these calls decent?
No.
Okay, in a word.
No.
Sorry, those of you on hold. You didn't pass our rigid requirements for being on the show.
Yeah, no. But this rally is going to be wonderful. And if you are online, find it on YouTube because YouTube will carry the entire day festival.
Do you have a time?
It'll be in the evening, but it's an all-day festival. So if you watch on YouTube, you'll catch the day's events.
I'm sure they'll.
The day's events won't be on TV that much. They don't want you to see. And I'll tell you, when you watch the speakers, the best speaker for Trump is Don Jr. Don Jr. has the best speeches, better than even Trump.
Really?
Yeah, they're better than even. He's very good. And he always talks about what is going on in the news that day. They're always up to date. They're always Don Jr. His are the best.
Keeps it fresh.
They never show them on television, so you got to watch on YouTube if he's. I don't know if he's going to be there. Kim Guilfoyle, his girlfriend, is going to be there, so I'm assuming Don Jr. is going to be there. I hope he talks about this Bin Laden endorsement of Biden.
Well, read it again.
I'll play it again.
You can't play it again.
Yes. This is it.
I love it. I love it.
Wow, that's amazing.
What a great family.
That's amazing. I mean, that is something certainly to talk about, and that's before Biden lost his mind. I mean, he's talking back then. Biden was still together, as opposed to today when he's fumbling around with. And that phone he's fumbling around with was a flip phone. It wasn't like some high-tech thing he had in his hand either. It's really sad. I don't like to make fun of Biden in his mental state. It's not right that he's running.
Well, you can't give them an automatic win like that.
I'm saying a win. His family are not decent people. His family would pull him out of it if they were. But,
His family is as guilty as he is.
Yeah.
They could talk him out of it. If
they don't want
really
to.
Wanted to. The wife could, pull a little Alyssa Strata. Do you
Yeah.
know Alyssa Strata?
I do not.
Well, we'll tell you after the break. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back.
It's summertime, and that means backyard barbecues and hanging out by the pool. With Father's Day right around the corner, get Dad the gift all dads will love. A new grill from Ace Hardware Deerfield or Beach Ace Hardware in Lauderdale by the Sea. They are your grilling headquarters. They have an incredible selection of all the top brands like Weber and Traeger, and the best deals around on every type of grill there is. Gas grills, charcoal grills, portable grills, and more. Free assembly and delivery is available too. Ace Hardware Deerfield is just south of Hillsboro on the west side of US 1. Beach Ace Hardware is in Lauderdale by the Sea. Tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show, and happy Father's Day.
Ace is the place for the helpful hardware, folks. Listen to the Steve
Okay,
Kane
Gold
Show
Report.
on iHeartRadio. Just search for W.
All right, we are back. It is time, that time that everyone waits for each day. We are going to hear from our good friend William Youngerman of William Youngerman Inc., one of the world's leading experts when it comes to precious metals. William has been advising clients on trends and movements in the precious metals. What do we say, 54, 55 years, long time, well over 50 years. And he knows his stuff, and we've been so fortunate to have him here as a sponsor on the Steve Kane Show all this time. And I know he has made a lot of money for you Steve Kane listeners, and for that, of course, we thank him. William, how are you today? I'm doing good. I may see you later today. All right, and I do want to remind everybody out there, especially those of you who are non-dads, those of you who are going to be on the receiving end of the Father's Day gift, William has a lot of beautiful stuff up there at William Youngerman Inc. Precious items with precious metals that you can literally pick up for the cost of the
watches, rings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And give them an idea, William. If they come in today, what do you got for Dad? All right, there you have it. And William, you are located at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca. That's the Bank of America building. Directly across from the Bank of America on the first floor. You can reach William on by phone, 1-800-327-5010, or go to the website at williamyoungerman.com. William, have a great, great Father's Day, and I'll probably see you later. All right? You take care.
You know, I was just reading the Drudge Report. Fox News shock poll, Biden up 12 points. Give me a break. If they're going to fix the polls, at least make them a dead heat or a point. I mean, that's just so absurd. This is stupid.
That's because nobody that voted, nobody wanted to vote against. What am I saying?
I don't know what you're saying. I mean, I can't imagine how that poll could be anything other than just totally made up.
Because Trump voters are afraid to.
I'm not sure they're polling people. Or who are they polling? That poll is so absurd. Fox shouldn't even run that poll on their air. It makes them look like what they are.
It is an embarrassment.
Come on. There's no way a poll that has Biden up 12.
But and even with their crooked polls, once the candidates start addressing the voters, you're going to see that gap narrow down to next to nothing.
And then they say here,
even on their poll.
This is why the Drudge Report is useless. It used to be a good place to go for news. Here's another headline on Drudge. Turmoil after bombshell book. Please.
Really?
There's this John Bolton book is going to be another dud. They're going to have this big interview Sunday night with Martha Raddatz. There'll be a couple of sound bites which we've probably already heard on Monday.
That's what they were talking about it on Fox yesterday, and that's basically what they said. There is nothing in here that the public doesn't know about.
Yeah, that's the problem.
We have all the data.
I was talking about this earlier. They keep talking, well, why didn't he testify to Congress? Because to lie to Congress is a crime we can go to jail for, right? Go talk to Roger Stone. It's perjury. If you lie in a book, it's not a crime.
Which tells you that he understands that he's committing perjury.
Yeah, he would be if he said these things to Congress. And these things with these books, it's amazing to me that people buy them, because when these political books come out like this, before the book is even released, you hear all the juicy stuff. So what's the point of reading the book?
They usually hold some of the stuff back.
John
they made it a point to release everything.
Because there's not much in there. John Roberts on Fox said yesterday he's read the whole book, and everything that's shocking has already been out. Everything. Yes. There's nothing else, and he said the rest of it is really boring. He said it's boring. An interesting story would be to go to the bookstores and, if you can find them, but go to the people that are find out who's buying them. The only people that are going to buy this book are Democrats. You know what I mean? Because they want to. Peter Navarro said yesterday this book is like revenge porn.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Peter is pretty close to the truth.
Yeah, I like that one. But I remember when they had that first book out about Trump. I was at Barnes and Noble. Two ladies came in and they pre-ordered. They were all both Democrats. It's like the only people that'll buy it are Democrats, and they'll believe it and get excited. And the people that love Trump won't buy it, read it, or believe it. So these things. There's always books like this with every president. Every president.
Yeah, but this is an especially ticklish moment in history, so everything becomes magnified.
He looks like a bitter, humiliated person who was fired, and he's just embarrassed, so he's writing this. He should be embarrassed by that mustache.
No, I don't know. I guess you're right. If you would like to get in the last call of the day, you just have time. Here is the number to dial: 1-888-GO-CANE, spelt K-A-N-E, followed by the number 1. 1-888-GO-CANE, and we will take your calls.
Yeah, now, there's an uptick in coronavirus in Florida. Okay, you've been hearing the stories. Cuomo's weighing in on this. I'll tell you in a second. But I want to tell you, any lab tests now of Boca and of Coral Springs are open on Saturdays. Okay, now with all of their regular testing, they guarantee the lowest price on all of their thousands of lab tests. There are lots of Any Lab Tests Nows, but there are only 2 advertising on the Steve Kane Show. That's Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. No appointment necessary, no doctor's order needed for most of all of their tests, except 2, which I'm going to tell you about in a moment, that are very relevant and important right now. Both locations open on Saturdays. All their contact information, phone numbers, and addresses are at stevekaneshow.com. The only thing you need an appointment for at Any Lab Test Now of Boca and of Coral Springs are for 2 tests: the coronavirus test and the coronavirus antibody test. They ask that you call ahead because they want to make preparations for that for obvious reasons. But for all their other tests, no appointment, just walk right in. Now, I've had both tests. I've had the coronavirus and the antibody test. I was negative on both.
And you sleep in a bubble.
No, I do everything I normally do. I do not sleep in a bubble. I know you may be. No,
the second you get off the air, first thing you do is put on your mask.
Only when I'm here in the elevator. That's all I do. The only time I wear the mask is in the elevator here. I told you yesterday because the ladies in the office down below, they don't like it. They get freaked out. But no, I go. I've been to Disney World twice. I've been. I do everything I normally do. I've not stopped doing anything that I would normally do with this, except things that aren't open, that have been closed. But anyway, with this uptick that's going on, you want to get tested. Maybe a member of your family need to get tested. I'll tell you another thing too, that the antibody test is a very, very high in demand test. This is the one that tells you if you've been exposed, so you know if you got those antibodies. And also, if you're an employer, you might want to get your employees tested. I've heard some stories where people have had to get employees tested multiple times in this new era when you're open for business. At Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs and Any Lab Test Now of Boca, they guarantee the lowest price on all of their thousands of tests. Now listen, all their info is at stevekaneshow.com. I'm going to give you the info quickly here, but if you miss it, go to stevekaneshow.com. It's important to also point out there are lots of Any Lab Test Nows, but these are the only 2 advertising on the Steve Kane Show. So use these 2 and these 2 only. It's like Ace Hardware, lots of Ace Hardware, but only 2 advertising on the Steve Kane Show. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs is on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood near the Coral Square Mall, and their number 954-906-5983. Any Lab Test Now of Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza where the Western Beef is between Palmetto and Hillsborough on the east side of 441, and their number 561-237-5009.
There's going to be a bettable sports event.
Oh, really?
On television over the weekend,
Oh.
yes. And I have a feeling I'm going to have a win on this, but I haven't. My guy hasn't.
Steve Kane Show.
But the Belmont Stakes is going to be on Saturday.
Oh.
It's about 5:30 in the afternoon.
That's great.
Like that.
We're almost out of time.
And I would love to have the winner for you, but unfortunately,
You got time. You can say if you want to say.
I don't. He has
your book.
contacted me. He'll get me between now and.
Well, let's take a quick call here. Caller, be quick. We're almost out of time. Last call of the week. I hope it's good.
Hello.
It's not starting out good. Yeah, you're on the air.
Go ahead.
Hey, listen, man, I've been listening to y'all for about 9 years. I just want to let y'all know that I heard y'all talk about Dr. Gupta.
Yes. Holy cow. Well, you are a loyal listener, and we appreciate you supporting the show, and have a great Father's Day.
I wish you would have called us earlier so we could have gotten the details. But
Exactly.
how many miles are you driving to see Dr. Gupta? Call us Monday. He's driving over 700 miles.
Give Dr. Gupta my best when you
to see Dr.
We'll
Gupta
on Monday.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right, listen, we are all out of time. We will see you on Monday. Take care. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend, everyone.
5.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
You never know.
No, I recognize. Now
Yeah. All right, guys, take care. We'll see. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed, all right? Take care.